It's two-time All-Star catcher A.J. Pierzynski. I'm Chris Rose, and are you sure we're in Detroit, Michigan? This feels like Texas weather. What's going on?
This is unbelievable weather for Detroit in October. I love it. This is great.
He loves it. There's great excitement here. I'm ready for Game 3. Just stand back.
Okay, that's right. Well, you know what? The forecast for the Motor City Kitties, not so good right now. They're down 0-2. And think about it a little bit. They lost with their ace, Justin Verlander, on the hill in Game 1. Game 2, they lose an emotional contest on a walk-off grand slam. Fans are thinking, how do we rebound here? It's panic time.
It's not over. It's not panic time if you're a Detroit Tiger fan or player. You lose by a walk-off grand slam, who cares? It's one game. You move on. As a player, it's very easy to move on from a walk-off loss. Trust me, I've been back there for many behind the plate. You just move on. You get home. You get to see this beautiful crowd on this beautiful night in this great ballpark. You get out of Arlington. You start over. And you didn't have a lot of time to think about it, which is the best part.
You know, and if I'm a member of the Detroit Tigers, I'm looking at it this way. I may be down 2-0, but very easily a play here, a play there, we could be up in the series 2-0. Yes, I said we, A.J. Pierzynski and the Tigers. But, you know, there's a base hit in the 5th inning, maybe with Victor Martinez in Game 1. You make the ball game a tie game. Last night, Elvis Andrus catches a ball with the bases loaded with the back of his hand. So very easily a break here, a break there, and you're up 2-0.
See, that's a TV veteran right there, by the way.
Yeah, he's trying to jump on my bandwagon.
Get off. He's in a new city. You get it. So Nelson Cruz hit the huge first ever walk-off grand slam in playoff history. He is standing by live with our Ken Rosenthal down on the field.
Thanks, Chris. July 8-1. He hasn't lost in this ballpark. The big thing, though, a pitcher's got to have runs, and I think they've got to hear from the big guys. That's Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez. Victor Martinez has stranded 8 runners in this series.
Yeah, they got to score. 5 runs in 20 innings won't get it done. Guys, back to you.
All right, guys, we look forward to hearing from you. Calling Game 3 of the ALCS. That man, Doug Fister, he won Game 5 in the Bronx. He was so solid, but he wants to get the ball to this guy, Papa Grande. When Jose Valverde comes in with a lead, the game's over and the party begins. But what did his current teammates think of him when he was the enemy and doing that dance? We'll find out when we come back. 4-0 in the playoffs, but an ERA near 16 against the Tigers this year. And was there a better midseason pickup than Doug Fister? 8-1, ERA under 2 since coming over in July from Seattle. But EK, Colby Lewis, kind of that forgotten man in the Texas rotation a little bit.
Yeah, you know, he is. But we talked to Ron Washington prior to the game, and he said, look, he's probably the smartest, most cerebral, most mature, most experienced pitcher we have on the staff.
Tall guy, too. What is he, like 7'2"?
He's like 6'10" with great angle, and that's why he gets so many bad swings. As Jim Leyland called him, a mishit pitcher.
Mishit. Okay, makes sense. Well, you know, if Jim Leyland actually gets the ball to Jose Valverde at the end of the game, it's usually game over. He is 52 for 52 in save situations this year. But once the All-Stars job is done, that's when his audition for So You Think You Can Dance begins.
Here's the 0-2. Swing and a miss. Ball game. Papa Grande gets it done. 49 for 49.
I mean, we've seen it all. He's very animated.
Got it.
When he drops down and then spins at the same time.
He did a really good there. Yeah, he did.
I mean, I've tried to do that.
He's doing his dancing.
And Papa Grande does his dance.
And sometimes my mom said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You know what, Mama? I have no idea."
Yeah, he's just a character.
Brings a little bit of spice to the game.
They don't have enough mustard in the cabinet for that hot dog.
You know, for a big guy, he's pretty limber.
Being in the other side, it's something that it kind of gets to you.
Swing and a miss. He got him on strikes.
When I played for Houston, Belen didn't like me.
I hated him.
Man, I was getting fired up. I'm like, man, this guy's disrespectful. He's showing up everyone. And I ended up taking him deep. He releases the ball's hit, and he goes to all 4s on the mound.
And hits his 18th of the year.
This is my favorite highlight of all time. I kept showing it to him.
Now I play for Detroit.
You know, as soon as he comes over, I'd heard from people that he's a great guy.
That's him. That's his personality.
He means no harm whatsoever, but so much fun to watch him play.
Swing and a miss, and the Tigers have done it. Let the celebration begin.
I'll let the ball players have this one. What do you think?
I know. He saved a ton of games against my team the last couple years, and every time I see him come in, as a player, you try to do too much against him because you don't want to see him jump around and go crazy. It bothers you, but everything I've heard, he's a great guy. Talking to him, he's a great guy. I wish him well, but man, I hate to see him do that on the mound against me.
Yeah, he's one of those guys you'd love to have on your team, and as you just said, AJ, you try to do too much, but he's one of those guys also that, okay, he gets you out, so you're already feeling down, and then he's out there dancing. It kind of adds insult to injury. One of those things, if you can take him deep, it's just like Brandon Inge did. He goes down on all fours. Maybe you do a little dance around the bases.
I think it's fun. I think it's, as a fan, I love it.
As a fan, it's different, though, than when you're a player. As a player, it's a lot different.
It's fun for you because you don't have to try and hit him when he strikes you out and he does that. It fires you up a little bit. I want you to get in the batter's box, Rose.
No, well, then we're losing. If I'm hitting for us, we're in trouble. Well, guys, they love him here at Comerica Park, and this is a place which really, if you look around, it embraces the Tigers' history as well as any home venue in the game. Up next, we're going to show you how the love affair between the city and its baseball team is actually reciprocated by the players. That and more, and its sports teams is rock solid, but that relationship has been tested. In the last decade, Motown has seen its fair share of struggles, both on and off the field. Now things, though, are on the uptick. The Lions are 5-0 for the first time in 55 years, and the Tigers are one step shy of making the World Series. And tonight, home field advantage doesn't just mean something for the team, but also for the people of Detroit.
I think we all know the hard times that Detroit has gone through.
Once you've seen the economy and how it is, then you have an appreciation for what the Tigers mean.
Well, it's tough to explain, but, you know, just the aura around the city, you know, what it brings to everybody around Michigan.
And also the appreciation that the players have for the fans, too, because they come out.
It's been tough times for people in Detroit. We know that. I come from a big family, and my dad was a factory worker. I know all about stuff like that, worrying about getting laid off and stuff, so I have a great appreciation for that, and it means so much to me. But I think during times like this, a sports team can uplift your spirits, and I hope that we've lifted up the spirits of our fans in Detroit because they deserve it.
What we've done, what the Lions are doing now, has really, helped with the spirits of the city. And, right now it's a great time to be a Detroit fan.
We have the best fans around, in my opinion. You know, people are coming downtown excited. It's a fun experience for everybody in the city, and they can use it.
Well, the tears in Jim Leland's eyes pretty much says it all. Love affair between the baseball team and the city. All right, guys, quickly some final thoughts before we get out of here. Eric Karros.
Texas Rangers. I think they win tonight. Colby Lewis continues his dominance in the postseason. Also, you have to look. Andy Chavez is in the lineup. Your Torrealba. Both guys, utility guys this year, but hit well over 300. Torrealba against the Tigers, very well.
For me, the Detroit Tigers, just go out and be overly aggressive. Do everything you can to get the energy, get the crowd behind you, score early. Austin Jackson, you're the man tonight. Prove Doug Fister, prove Jim Leland right, and get the ball to Papa Grande as fast as you can. Yeah, you picked them in 6. So they got to win. They got to go. All right, time right now for the singing of our national anthem. For that, we send it up to the public address announcer, Bob Vergils.
And now, please remain standing for the performance of our national anthem. Joining us tonight is a living legend. She's the first woman to ever be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Please welcome Michigan native. She's the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin.
The Queen of Soul has got this crowd going. Can Colby Lewis quiet things down, or will the Tigers bats finally heat up? Texas has the 2-0 lead in the ALCS. Game 3 is coming your way. We'll get you up to the booth with Joe and Tim when we come back. Welcome back to the Chevrolet ALCS pregame show on Fox. We are ready, and this town is ready for Game 3 of the American League Championship Series between the Texas Rangers and the Detroit Tigers. So now, let's send it upstairs to Joe Buck.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Are we ready up here in the broadcast booth? I hope the answer is yes. The Texas Rangers had two terrific games at home. They're up 2-0. The games were thrilling. And now here we are in Detroit. The hometown Tigers are down by 2, and I welcome in my partner. He's back in the saddle, Tim McCarver. And, well, heck, you're already on record as saying Doug Fister will pitch well for Detroit. But first, we talk about Texas. And from your vantage point from afar, what do you think was the key to them going up 2-0?
Well, normally you don't talk about a bullpen in Game 3, but the Texas Rangers, with 12 2/3 innings of scoreless baseball, to be the first time in LCS history that's been done, to open an LCS with a scoreless streak like the bullpen did.
Yeah, and when you combine that with the hitting prowess of Nelson Cruz, that's why the Rangers are up 2-0. Meanwhile, you talk about Fister, but what else has to happen for Detroit to get a win here tonight?
Well, for me, Joe, there are 3 keys to the Detroit lineup, whether they're going to score or not. Austin Jackson has to make more contact, get on base in front of the 2 big guns, Miguel Cabrera. That's an easy call. Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez, they've been driving in runs for a long, long time. And if he gets on and it gives them enough opportunities, he'll do that.
Well, let's find out as we look back. Last night was magical for Texas, but tonight we turn the page. Degrees, absolutely beautiful here in Detroit, and the Tigers and their fans hoping they can get on the board here early, get excited as they're down 2-0. Tonight's opening pitch is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. And before Doug Fister goes to work, the Rangers starting lineup is brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Ian Kinsler, Elvis Andrus, and then Josh Hamilton, the top 3. In the middle, it's Michael Young, Adrian Beltre, and Mike Napoli. Bottom 3, Nelson Cruz, your Vitor Alba, his first start of this ALCS, and Andy Chavez makes his first start of the postseason. And there are the numbers. The clincher, Game 5 at Yankee Stadium for Doug Fister.
Doug Fister 4-0 in this ballpark, 8-1 with a remarkable earned run average since being picked up on the 31st of July from Seattle.
And Kinsler starts it with a base hit into left. How about that start for the Rangers? Up 2-0. Solid, sharp single through the left side, and Kinsler is aboard.
And obviously a stolen base threat, as is Elvis Andrus, who's batting second.
And somewhere Terry Francona saying, I knew he was going to jump on the first pitch in his first at bat. At some point, it finally happened. And Francona driving through the South. 1 on with nobody out, and here is Elvis Andrus, who takes a strike from Fister, and that's no surprise. Fister throws a lot of strikes. 67% of his pitches are strikes, and he is in the top 5 in the league in that category. Elvis, see how the Texas Rangers want to play this with the leadoff man on, and a check on Kinsler.
Two big differences in the lineups. Detroit is not a running team. Texas is a running team.
Here is a bunt. It's a foul, and it's strike 2.
He was in the batter's box when the ball hit him. Consequently, that was a foul ball.
So Doug Fister, who is 27 years old, is called upon by his Detroit Tigers to go deep into this game and be effective. As you see, that ball clearly hit Elvis Andrus while he was in the batter's box, so it's a foul. A guy who went 8-1 down the stretch with the Tigers after a 3-12 start with Seattle. Chop to the right side and through the right side. Kinsler will go first to third, and it's runners at the corners with nobody out for the Rangers here in the first inning.
Sometimes pitchers get impatient with the count, no balls and 2 strikes, and they don't make a pitch bad enough. That pitch was too good a pitch on an 0-2 count. Andrus fights it off. See, that ball has too much of the plate. I think Pfister wanted to come inside. Too good a pitch. First and third, nobody out.
And a chance for Texas to jump on top with Josh Hamilton at the plate. There is numbers in this LCS below it during the postseason after a year in which he hit .298. 25 homers, 94 RBIs, and he's out in front of that pitch, strike one. Pfister was the loser in game 1 of the division series in relief of Verlander after rain halted play at Yankee Stadium. And as we showed you, he had good numbers and was the winner in game 5. Home plate umpire is Jim Wolf. He's working his first LCS. Field and Culbreth, Jeff Nelson, Tom Hallion. Tim Welke is the crew chief down the left field line, and Vanover down the right field line, and that is strike 2 on Hamilton.
So much for throwing strikes. Pfister's thrown 6 straight strikes. Runners on at first and third, nobody out. Go figure.
But you always preach you're supposed to throw strikes.
Yeah, well.
Crowd's trying to get into it. Another check on Elvis Andrus. A little floater that is into center for a base hit. Another 0-2 pitch, another 0-2 hit. In to score is Kinsler. And it's 3 straight singles to start the night for the Rangers, 1-0 in the first.
3 straight singles on 8 straight strikes, and again Pfister doesn't get it inside enough. It was a cutter in on the hands, but not quite on the hands enough. And Hamilton puts the Rangers up.
The Rangers coming off a walk-off grand slam last night at the end of basically a 4.5-hour game, and they roll right into Detroit. And they've taken the crowd right out of it. Might be 2. Peralta has to lay back out at second and got them both.
Boy, what a great turn by Ramon Santiago, using the bag for protection. Behind the bag, quick relay to just get Michael Young. Nicely done.
So what is a 1-run inning now has a runner at third, 2 out. Michael Young still hasn't driven in a run. Now 1 for 9 in this series, and here's Beltre. Strike 1 from Pfister. Andrus a runner at third, 2 out. Colby Lewis will take the mound. When the Rangers take the field in the bottom of the inning, and a good job by Avila to corral that pitch, ball 1.
Not bad for a guy who caught more innings than any other major league catcher. 133 starts this year. And the cool weather has got to help Avila more than anybody on either team.
Over but low, ball 2. Adrian Beltre, who is so far 4 out of 9 in this LCS, 8 for 24, and 3 of his 8 hits have been home runs this postseason. That's foul. And almost caught a piece of Andrus at third base. 2-2.
Why runners take their leads off third in foul territory if the ball hits them. And it's just a foul ball, even though they're a bit sore, of course.
They might have put him out of the rest of the LCS if that thing hit him.
That was a tracer.
So now the count 2-2. This place is packed. And they're watching Adrian Beltres, who since he came off the DL on the 1st of September has been scorching hot. As have the Rangers. The 2-2. And that caught some of Beltre.
I think it hit Adrian on the left knee or left foot. We'll see. Fastball tailing in. Maybe the left shin, perhaps. Sleep in November.
On deck is Napoli. He is the DH. Getting, as Ron Washington said, half the night off. He doesn't have to go catch. He's been catching day after day after day. The 2-2. That foul ball ended up in the Tiger dugout.
Doug Pfister doing his homework, realizing that Beltre hit that double with 2 strikes in last night's game. 1 of 3 hits Beltre had. He has been wearing him out inside.
Another 2-2. Pfister got it. And in the end did a terrific job of limiting the damage. Just 1 run on 3 hits. After a half in Detroit. 1-0 Texas. By Taco Bell, think outside the bun. Little different look tonight, but that's kind of typical of the way Jim Leland has managed all year. Back-to-back games, you don't see the same lineup. Jackson, Santiago, Cabrera, Victor Martinez, then Don Kelly, who's hitting 5th for the first time all year. Peralta, Avila, Rayburn, and Dirks. As Delman Young was unable to play after working in yesterday's game with that strained oblique, and there are the numbers for Lewis. The only starter for the Rangers to pitch more than 5 innings in a start this postseason. He went 6 against the Rays. Strike 1 on Austin Jackson. The numbers have not been good. 14 strikeouts this postseason. He went around, and just like that, he is lined up for strikeout number 15. He's got to make more contact.
He is an unconventional leadoff hitter in that he strikes out a great deal. He reminds me a lot, even though he's not quite the player, but he reminds me of Bobby Bonds, who led off the Giants for so many years.
That is Cruz with plenty of room and foul ground, 1 out. And our cashback player to watch is Colby Lewis. Chase Freedom cashback player. Colby Lewis, career postseason record of 4-0, an ERA of 1.67. That's with last year and this year. And don't get shortchanged to get your cash back with Chase Freedom. And those numbers are getting more and more impressive for Colby Lewis.
Exceptional.
First pitch strike to Santiago. 1-0 Texas on an RBI hit by Hamilton in the first. The 0-1. Strike 2. Colby Lewis, who was the 38th overall pick in '99 of the Rangers, bounced around, was in the Detroit organization for a while. Went to Japan for 2 years, and in his words, that gave him some security and gave his family security. Kind of takes some of the pressure off, and he's been very good since coming back.
An assortment of pitches, change-ups, a deep slider that slides toward the plate. That was a deep slider right there. It's very difficult for left-handed hitters in particular to pick up. a deep slider as opposed to a slider that you can read out of a pitcher's hand. Watch how it bites inside. Santiago, all he could do is pull it foul.
A 1-2 pitch is fouled the other way. Miguel Cabrera will follow if anybody gets on Victor Martinez as the Tigers trail in the game and in the series. See the difference in the home and road splits for Colby Lewis. Much better on the road. Strike 3. Santiago was looking for something else and took a 1-2 pitch for strike 3.
Yeah, that is not a good pitch. It's a curveball for a strike, but that's not how they draw it up. Colby Lewis getting away with the curveball of Santiago.
That brings in Cabrera, who's up there ready to hammer, and he fouls one back. Miguel 2 hits, 8 trips in this series, 5 for 23, 1 home run. As he plays in his second postseason, got there in 03 with the Marlins, who won it all over the Yankees. Colby Lewis is making it look easy here in the first. Ball 1.
Among the best 2-strike hitters in baseball, Cabrera goes to right field often with 2 strikes.
This is a Detroit starting lineup that, as a group, has hit .378 against Colby Lewis over the last couple. 4 homers, 16 RBIs. Much more productive than the group the Rangers have, starting against Doug Fister. However, Jim Leland's crew trails by a run. Trying to serve that ball into right, and it's still 2-2. Leland had a chance to visit with his good friend Tony La Russa after their game last night. Russa's Cardinals are off in their series. They will pick up against Milwaukee tomorrow night. What a good start. Colby Lewis has a perfect first inning, and after see how Fister goes through the second, he will deal with Napoli, Cruz, and your Vitor Alba, making his first start of this LCS. Fister allowed a run on 3 hits, got a big double play ball off the bat of Young in the first. Strike 1.
Good curveball on the fastball count by Fister.
Down and away. The postseason is always a time when the rumor mill is churning, and we're going to go down in a moment to Ken Rosenthal, who's with us for a new rumor. The 2-1. 2-2. Leading it off in the second inning, Mike Napoli on 2-2, hits it to third. Backing up is Kelly. Long throw, very good, 1 out. Well, maybe it's not a new rumor, but here's our old reporter Ken Rosenthal to bring it to us. Kenny?
It's not a new rumor, Joe, but the Boston Herald is reporting that Red Sox GM Theo Epstein is on the cusp of going to the Chicago Cubs. Neither team is commenting right now, but it must be said that since the end of the season, neither the Red Sox nor Epstein has ever denied that this was a possibility.
Yeah, and we had a guy in our booth not too long ago who was very interested to see if that situation would progress. We could interrogate Francona if he was here. And again, he's driving with his daughter in the south. Get him on the cell phone. Batter is Nelson Cruz. He was the hero last night. Tim, how about this guy getting hot in what is a deep versatile, good lineup for the Texas Rangers.
Boy, his strength, he may be the strongest guy in either league. And that means the strongest guy to hit a baseball. There are a lot of guys who are strong, but they don't make that transition of hitting a baseball and being strong. This guy is strong, and it looks it. I mean, those foul balls the other night before the grand slam, tremendous.
Counts 1-2. And that just missed outside. 2-2. A guy with 9 postseason home runs. 24 career postseason hits, and 17 have been for extra base hits.
That's what you have to do. With most guys that are real strong, they like the ball out over the plate. That slider the other night, I tell you, if sliders don't go down, they go out. And that's what that one did the other night in Arlington.
He has handled Pfister 7 for 14 in his career. 2-2 pitch. Well, you said it to Jim Leland before the game, Tim, that somebody in this organization with the Tigers did a good scouting job on Doug Pfister, because he was 9 games under 500 with the Seattle club, and they pick him up. He's been very good this postseason and down the stretch for Detroit.
And a guy in late July who was 3-12 with Seattle. Since that time, 8-1 with Detroit.
Cruz pops it up. Out goes Peralta. 2 out. Kenny Rosenthal, does Seattle have that much pitching that they can get rid of a young guy like Doug Pfister?
Well, they gave Pfister up, Joe, because they got a steep price in return. 2 major league ready players plus 2 of the Tigers' 7 top prospects, according to Baseball America. And if you remember at the deadline, the Yankees and Red Sox and other teams kept saying, there's no pitching available at a reasonable price. Well, Dave Dombrowski did pay that price, but he's got Doug Pfister through 2015, and his top 4 starters are locked up for several years.
Yeah, this guy's only 27 years old, from Merced, California, still lives there. And when this postseason is over, he's going home to get his house all ready for the offseason. Good curveball, strike 1.
At 6'8", appropriate that he was born near Yosemite.
We asked Doug what's in Merced. He said nothing, but he'll be there whenever this postseason is over. He's had some ride. By his own admission, he said, we've just kept it simple, paying attention to the small things and going pitch to pitch. And his latest pitch is grounded through the left side for a base hit by Torrealba. And in his first start in this LCS, he is on with 2 out, with Chavez coming up.
First 8 hitters are any indication. Pfister's trying to crowd the right-handed hitters. You can change that the second time through the order, but first time around, he has really been wearing those right-handed hitters out inside.
Only the ball that Ian Kinsler led off with his base hit sharply through the left side, has been hard hit.
Yeah. Andrews was jammed, the ground ball to right. Hamilton was jammed. Cruz was jammed for an out.
Count 0-1. Andy Chavez, first at bat of this postseason. We've seen him in the past in the postseason with the Mets. Made that tremendous catch.
Unbelievable. Never forget it.
Shea Stadium. Against the Cardinals to rob Scott Rowland, and then later Yadier Molina won Game 7. Here's that catch. And this is about as good as it can get in a Game 7.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Unbelievable.
Am I remembering correctly? Didn't he then throw behind the runner and turn it into a double play? Or did I dream that?
No, I think you dreamt it.
Here is Chopper up the middle, and Santiago goes to the bag. We go to the bottom of the second. Tigers coming up, down by 1. Hitless. in this LCS. We'll lead it off. Then Don Kelly, Johnny Peralta against the right-hander Colby Lewis.
Worth repeating, Joe, he's 0 for 7 and has stranded 8 runners in the first 2 games.
And he's got to make teams pay for pitching around Miguel Cabrera.
Yep.
That's why he's here, and that's what he did during the regular season when he led the big leagues in batting average with runners in scoring position, and when he drove home over 100 runs.
To give you an idea of your point, on September 4th, when they walked Cabrera intentionally, Martinez hit .411. Since then, he's only hit .230. So he's tailed off a little bit. My goodness, why wouldn't you? .411 after an intentional walk to Cabrera.
Two balls and a strike. We've upset Jim Leyland before by showing pine tar in this ballpark.
I was thinking the same thing.
But there's plenty on the left shoulder of Victor Martinez that he's getting coming off his bat when he lays it on his shoulder. Little Kenny Rogers reference from '06.
All-Star game here in 2005 at Comerica. World Series here in 2006.
He got mad at you.
You did, I know.
It was your fault. 3-1 pitch is up and away for a leadoff walk.
You're not mad at me, are you?
I've never been mad at you in my life. That I promise. And I wasn't mad at you when you shot me down when I said, was that a double play from Endy Chavez? And you said, no, you dreamed it.
I thought that you had dreamed it. You were right. You were dead on, partner. I apologize. National apology right here.
Yeah, we got Jim Edmonds doubled off first base. Oh, of course he knows. It was the Cardinals. That's the team he grew up around. Yeah, I would have remembered it anyway. It's a night I would have never forgot. That was some game.
Oh, boy. That game ended on a curveball, a 2-2 curveball to Carlos Beltran for strike 3. Cardinals went on to beat Detroit in the World Series that year. And what a job by the Cardinals this year and Tony La Russa's staff.
Up and in, and Kelly driven off the plate. This, Tim, is the first time that Don Kelly has hit 5th all year for Jim Leyland.
2 straight hits in last night's game. And Eric and AJ talked about it, and Chris talked about it in the pregame show. That hit down in the right field corner. Santiago being held at third base by Gene Lamont. Joe, you were at the game. I was watching comfortably here in Detroit, and you said that you thought it should have been or would have been a worthy try had Santiago.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see it from our vantage point upstairs. It's a little different look, but watching it unfold, I thought he had a legitimate chance to make it. This one's hooked foul.
A lot of times the outs, the number of outs dictate the score. Of course, it was a tie game last night. Santiago on first, and a ball rifled down the right field line. Fielded cleanly by Nelson Cruz, and Gene Lamont, the third base coach, holding Santiago, who is not a fast runner, up at third.
Kelly checks his swing, did not go on the count. 2-2.
It was close.
Kelly just slaps at it, trying to dump it into left, and there's Chavez for out number 1. 1 on, 1 out, and Johnny Peralta will be the hitter. Don Kelly retired. Peralta hit .299, 21 home runs, 86 RBIs during the regular season. And if you are unaware of how big this ballpark plays, this place plays like the stadium Doug Fister used to call home in Seattle. It's a tough place to ride one out of. 420 to dead straightaway center field. Ball 1 high. Good pitch by Colby Lewis as it ran away from Peralta. A ball and a strike.
Tigers trading for Johnny Peralta in the middle of last year. What that did, it opened up the shortstop position for Asdrubal Cabrera with the Cleveland Indians, an all-star shortstop, and a good one.
Yeah, he really blossomed this year. His power numbers skyrocketed. That pitch called low, and the count 2-1. Avila next. This crowd is just dying to have a reason to make some noise.
Tentative right now.
Inside, 3-1. Little wrinkle on the end of that 3-1 pitch, and it's a full count.
That again that's that deep slider. Hitters can't pick it up because it breaks late in the strike zone.
And that's really from the experience Colby Lewis had in Japan.
That's right.
Base hit left field. And it's 2 on, 1 out for Detroit here in the second. Lewis said in Japan, everybody throws any pitch with any count. And he brought some of that back with him. Catch the action of the 2011 Major League Baseball LCS on Fox and TBS. You can join the postseason debate at MLBFanCave.com. And follow the action on Twitter with the hashtag postseason. Legends are born in October. Here is Avila, and here the Detroit fans are anticipating a reason to get loud. This guy can't wait to drive a ball somewhere. He is 2 for 25 this postseason, 1 RBI. After having a big year with a bat. Late, strike 1.
He finally found a right-hander for the Texas Rangers. 3 of the 4 starters for the Rangers are left-handed. C.J. Wilson, Derek Holland, and tomorrow night's starter Matt Harrison.
A ball and a strike. This Tiger team has hit .208 in this LCS. That's a strike, borderline pitch. And Avila falls into the hole 1 and 2.
And the Tigers are not the type of offense that's going to score runs with their legs. 49 stolen bases on the year, the lowest total in the major leagues. So they have to hit to score. They can't run to score.
Big strikeout for Lewis, and the runners hold at first and second, 2 down. That's strikeout number 3. Colby Lewis took care of Avila.
Check this out, pitch by pitch, the fastball swing and a miss. Fastball, he got a break there, and then the slider diving down and in gets Avila. Good job of pitching by Lewis.
And leaves it up to Ryan Rayburn, who was the lone hitting star yesterday for the Tigers with that 3-run shot in Arlington that gave the Tigers a lead. Cruz tied it in the 7th and then won it in the 11th. Really fun guy to talk to is Ryan Rayburn, and we said, which do you prefer, playing left field or right field? He said hitting. The 0-1. And he has yet to take a cut. The count 0-2.
Ryan is from that area down there just north of Bradenton, Florida, and loves to hit.
14 home runs during the regular season. Backed up here at 0-2. 2 on, 2 out, and that is blocked by Torrealba. Torrealba actually caught more games this year total than Mike Napoli. Caught 95. Napoli took over down the stretch. Torrealba had a good year. Here is a 1-2. Pretty good rip by Rayburn. Still 1-2. This is a Detroit team that is without some big bats. Bosch got hurt down the stretch. Maglio Ordonez is out re-breaking that ankle, and Delman Young could not answer the bell today after working yesterday with that strained oblique. Strikeout ends the inning. 2 in each inning for Colby Lewis. And the Tigers strand a couple. We go to inning number 3 in Detroit. There's Kinsler, Andrus, and then Josh Hamilton against Pfister. And even down 1-0, I think the Tigers have to like what they're seeing so far from their big right-hander, who spins a breaking ball home for strike 1. Kinsler jumped on the first pitch and singled into left his first time up. This time he got a breaking ball. And now a fastball misses. It's 1-1. 1-1 according to the home plate umpire Jim Wolf, who's wearing a microphone for us, and will dip into his world after Ian Kinsler does something to start the 3rd. Jim's brother Randy is a pitcher with the Milwaukee Brewers. We'll work game 4 of the LCS. Here's an infield hit for Kinsler. He is 2 for 2. And we'll give you a look at the replay before we hear from Jim Wolf.
Of the 5 hits the Rangers have, 3 of them have been handle shots. One by Andrus, another by Josh Hamilton, and then this one by Kinsler. They all count, and things are going Texas's way, and that's pretty clear right now.
Elvis Andrus is at the plate. He fought one off and got one through the right side his first time up, and Pfister gives Ian Kinsler a look. Ian stole 30 bases to go with his 32 home runs. This is a very good 1-2 punch on top of this lineup for Texas. In front of the big bats of Hamilton, Young, and Beltre.
No, Joe Terry Francona in game 1 said that Ian Kinsler is a budding star, and I never thought about it like that, but I agree with him. There's not a lot he can't do. 32 homers.
Hit and run, but that leads Peralta right to the back. And there's a break Detroit's way. A 6-3 double play. Peralta was covering on the steal, and that gave him a head start.
Yeah, if he's not running, Peralta probably wouldn't be covering because it was a fastball in on the hands. So I doubt that a second baseman, Ramon Santiago, would have made that play. But since Peralta was covering, easy double play.
Breaking ball for a strike to Hamilton. Josh with an RBI single his first time up. A little floater into center. That is strike 2. Tonight's Volkswagen Passat trivia question, but baseball terminology, the origin of the term Baltimore chop. A high bouncing ball near home plate.
We've seen 2 in a row by the Rangers.
That is in and out of the glove.
Here's one. Baltimore chop in Detroit. And the double play ball was a Baltimore chop.
Pfister almost struck out Hamilton. Now he does on the next pitch. We'll have to wait to hear from Jim Wolf. Pfister's waiting to get some offense behind him. 9-1 and 2 hitters coming up. 1-0 Texas.
did in playoff baseball. You got to treat every game like it's a game 7.
And it's got to feel that way for Detroit.
Yes.
Here tonight, down 2-0. It goes into the conversation about game 4 tomorrow, which is Matt Harrison against Rick Porcello. We talked to Jim Leland again before tonight's game and had to ask, and he said, I'm telling you, Verlander will work in game 5, and you have to believe me when I say it's best for the team and it's best for Justin. He needs the extra day of rest. It's been a long year with a lot of pitches. Nobody threw more all year. For the 24-game winner, here's a 1-2. Inside. And the count 2-2 from Colby Lewis on Andy Dirks, who was Jim Leland's pick to click in tonight's lineup prior to the game. A strikeout is the 3rd consecutive and the 5th of the night for Colby Lewis, and we go back to last inning with the home plate umpire Jim Wolf.
Hey, what's your nickname again?
Mike.
Mike, call me Wolfie. Hey, don't you have a nickname?
Like it's Tito, but
I'll call you Tito. All right, man, thanks.
At least you got a big shirt on today.
Shrink, I'm getting old.
Ripping out of that one.
So there's Jim Wolf, and you can see a guy who likes to keep it light and have fun behind home plate as Austin Jackson swings through strike 1. We thank these guys for wearing the microphone when they do, giving us a little extra sound from down on the field.
But come on, Jim, 42 years old and you're getting old? I don't want to hear it.
Here's a 1-1, a foul back. Strike 2 on Austin Jackson. Top of this lineup has got to present RBI opportunities for Cabrera and Martinez. Mainly Cabrera, where they can't pitch around him. Still 1-2 on Austin Jackson. Lewis won 14 games during the regular season. 4-0 in his career during the postseason. Up the middle, base hit, and Austin Jackson has his 2nd hit of this LCS.
And he gives the Detroit Tigers something that they really don't have a lot of again in that speed. We said they had 49 stolen bases as a team, 22 of those by Jackson. When he gets on, he can excite this crowd.
Brings in Santiago, who struck out his first time, went down looking. And he bats 1 on, 1 out. A lot of strikeouts. Jim Leland's crew 33% of the time. Lewis has struck out 5 already tonight. Ball 1 to Santiago. Ramon came into this game 5 for 10 in this ALCS. Strike 1. Colby Lewis won't light up a radar gun or cause your jaw to drop like a guy like Justin Verlander, but he seems to light up when October rolls in, as he did last year when he was 2-0 in the ALCS against the Yankees and was the only winner for the Rangers in the World Series, winning Game 3 of the World Series over the Giants.
Biggest problem Colby has is the home run ball. 35 home runs led the American League this year. But he is in a ballpark that is spacious, so that should discount that.
Santiago into center field. Back to grab it is Hamilton, 2 out. Back to first is Austin Jackson, and now the big bat of Miguel Cabrera walks in a spot where Colby Lewis has to come after him.
There are few major leaguers who made their mark quicker than Miguel Cabrera. With the Florida Marlins in 2003, we did that game 5, where Roger Clemens was retiring, or at least he said he was going to retire. He ended up not retiring, but he knocked Cabrera down, and with 2 strikes, Cabrera homered in right field as a 20-year-old.
Strike 1 from Colby Lewis.
Talk about a young hitter who makes other people pay attention. He's done that since he broke into baseball at the tender age of 20.
Now just 28. Sneaking a fastball in there is Colby Lewis, and the count's 0-2. So right into the hole goes Miguel Cabrera.
Remember, he struck out on a wide slider the last time up.
It's interesting as you watch Michael Young lunge for that ball at first. He said of all the positions he's had to learn, and he plays anywhere on the infield, first base was the toughest. Little chopper on that slider again. Lewis gets the out, and we go into the 4th inning. This crowd getting restless. They want to see some runs. Colby.
Oh, they do.
Old Spice.
Classic.
Geicos are good.
Yep.
Pfister misses with one that runs down and in to Michael Young. Bounced into a double play his first time up. Getting a chance to play the field tonight at first after DHing the first 2 games. 90-mile-an-hour fastball is missed by that black bat, and the count 1-1. Two balls and a strike. Two hops to Johnny Peralta. One away. Once again, tonight's Volkswagen Passat trivia question: what is the origin of the term Baltimore Chop? The answer: back in 1894, the old Baltimore Orioles of the National League allegedly had their groundskeepers hide concrete slabs beneath the dirt in front of home plate. The high bouncers came to be known as Baltimore Chops. That team, by the way, won the National League pennant with an 89-39 record as Beltre goes down on that foul ball that caught him on the leg, ankle, or foot.
Joe, that's the second time that Beltre has been hit. The first time was on his left shin, and this time just above it, right in the left knee. Adrian missing 5 weeks because of a pulled hamstring. Joe talked about how hot he was for the month of September. Boy, that had to hurt. I mean, a guy who hits 32 home runs during a year, when you hammer a ball off your foot or knee, it hurts a lot worse than a guy who hits 2 home runs in a year. And I'm saying that with a smile on my face, but the more power you have, the more it hurts.
Plus, he almost straightens that front knee.
Yeah, which most guys do. Most good hitters will straighten that front leg. And when it's straight, I get your drift. When it's straight, it's more vulnerable than if it were more pliable, I suppose.
Ron Washington, ironically enough, was asked before the game about why he didn't pinch run for Adrian Beltre when the Rangers had that opportunity in the 9th inning, their 9th inning, after the Tigers missed their chance. And he said, well, if you've noticed, Beltre's been running fine. The hamstring injury is behind him, but he doesn't look good at all.
No, he doesn't. I mean, this is going to stay there for a while. Here's the first one in the first inning before he struck out. That's in the left shin area. Noticeably biting, and this one bites a little higher and a little tougher. Boy, that hurts.
He'll stay in with a count of 1. Strike 2 over the inside corner.
That's good strategy by Pfister. When a player bounces one off his left leg, if you're a right-handed hitter, stay inside. Don't let him up.
He's set up in there again. Beltre is able to foul it down the third baseline.
You can see Avila setting up inside. 3 straight fastballs in on the hands of Beltre.
And not running at all, not able to, is Beltre as Kelly takes his time and gets the out. It'll be interesting to see if Adrian Beltre will be able to continue in this game. 2 out.
You could hear that groan when he made contact. So we'll see. Certainly that suggests it would cut down on his range. I mean, this guy's one of the better third basemen in the game defensively.
Breaking ball swung on and missed by Napoli. Tigers in the bottom of this 4th will have Victor Martinez, Don Kelly, and Johnny Peralta. Inside corner, good pitch, strike 2. 93 from Pfister. Rangers have seen plenty of Pfister. It was with Seattle in the AL West. That's where the Texas Rangers reside, winning that division for the 2nd straight year. Pfister almost fielded the broken bat with his glove. Went right by his head, and Peralta makes the play. We go into the bottom of the 4th inning. This is as pretty a ballpark as you'll find anywhere in baseball. Rangers on top 1-0. Factor is all new. The contestants learn who their mentors are when they travel to the judges' homes. Expect lots of drama and amazing vocal performances. The X Factor all new tomorrow at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. At downtown Detroit is home to the 5-0 Lions, who beat the Chicago Bears last night. Home to the Central Division champion Detroit Tigers, 95-win team. Adrian Beltre has been limping around, getting ready for this bottom of the 4th. But he's still in the game as Victor Martinez, who walked his first time, takes ball 1 down and in.
I wonder if the Detroit Tigers, of course, Victor Martinez is not going to do that, but try to exploit the weakness of Adrian Beltre and have a guy like Don Kelly bunt against him. He is not moving around well at all at third base.
Inside, 2-1. The next, ripped into right, at the wall. This game is tied. Tim, I don't know if Victor Martinez hurt himself on that swing, but something didn't look right with him going around the bases.
Of course, you never know with the oblique problems that guys are having nowadays. But at 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time, wake-up call for Detroit. Yeah, that's a good pickup, Joe, because it looked like on the swing, the finish of the swing. Hard to believe a guy can hit a ball 385 feet away from home plate and hurt himself. But he did, it appears.
Kelly went around. That's strike 2. From up above. It's exactly what Detroit needed, but it could be very costly if there's something long-term here as Detroit just keeps getting more and more injured as we go. Kelly got a piece. Still 1-2. Interesting quote by Jim Leyland before the game regarding his lineup. Two and two, he said, you know, we have been preparing. We're not putting the cart before the horse, but if we get to the World Series, we've got to be prepared to use Cabrera at third and Victor Martinez at first base. Victor Martinez typically the DH. They don't use the DH in the National League City. He said, because if I don't have Martinez in my lineup, then I basically don't have the bat of Miguel Cabrera in my lineup, because he won't be protected by somebody behind him.
You have to have both of them.
Here's a 2-2. Broken back. Colby Lewis makes the pickup and gets the out well away. So let's go back to the home run swing.
Watch the off balance. Once he makes contact, he's off balance on his right leg. A little grimace right there. And anytime you see something like that, you think about all the oblique injuries that have occurred in baseball over the last couple of years. I mean, it's like baseball, a game of oblique angles, has become a game of oblique injuries. But he hurt something.
Because it's just not like Martinez to go around the bases like that.
No.
Batter now is Peralta. 1 out, nobody on. Tie game. Johnny singled his first time up. Could not hold up. Strike 1. Beltre hurt himself in the top half of the inning, fouling that ball off his left knee, and Victor Martinez appears as if something's wrong, and Texas wants to make sure Michael Young's okay going up against the tarp down the right field line. 2 out. Batter is Avila, who hit over 300 against right-handed pitching during the regular season. 16 of his 19 home runs came against right-handers. We won't know about Victor Martinez for a while, the DH, till his spot comes up again.
All major league teams and even visiting teams have cages, batting cages down there. I'm sure once he rests, he will go down there and try a left-handed swing and see if he's okay.
1 ball, 1 strike on Avila, who struck out his first time.
So you have 2 guys who are playing gingerly right now. Adrian Beltre of the Rangers and Victor Martinez, the DH for the Tigers.
Avila's got a bad knee as well as he fouls one straight back. Strike 2.
go through 6 months of baseball, it's tough to play in October without something bothering you. Almost nobody is 100%.
Martinez was sidelined earlier this year with a strained right groin. Just to throw that out there, but purely speculation or just fact at this point that that's what put him on the DL. Here is a 2-2 pitch to Avila from Colby Lewis. Inning is over. Strikeout number 6. But it started with a bang off the bat of Victor Martinez. He ties it into the 5th. Game 3. Back after this from your local Fox station. Watched his team tie it on a home run by Victor Martinez. We're into the 5th inning, game 3. Tied 1-1. Nelson Cruz first up, takes a ball down and away. It'll be Cruz, Torrealba, Andy Chavez, the bottom 3.
Back inside.
And hammered foul.
Cruz was ready for that pitch. Remember his first at bat. We talked about how Pfister was eating him up inside. He eventually popped out on a fastball inside. He's ready for this one. Hammers it foul.
On the infield for Santiago. One away. So first we look between innings at the Texas side. Jamie Reed, the trainer, is taking Beltre down the steps. And he's not moving well at all. Doesn't look very good for him. And then on the other side, Jim Leyland went down to, I'm sure, get an update on Victor Martinez, and you can see where a member of the medical staff touched Jim Leyland in the low right back. First pitch is a ball to Torrealba, who singled his first time up. Breaking ball stays high. 2-0. Two balls and a strike.
I've heard different theories on those oblique injuries. We're not saying that that's what Victor has, but it could be that. There have been so many over the last year and a half, 2 years in baseball. A lot of people think it might be pumping iron too much and not doing the proper stretching before and after lifting weights. I think there's something to that.
This one gets away, and now the count 3-1. Matchup of Matt Harrison and Rick Porcello in game 4 tomorrow afternoon. It's a late afternoon start here in Detroit as Torrealba rides one out of here foul. Here is that matchup tomorrow, and we are on the air at 4 o'clock Eastern. And it will be, there it is, Matt Harrison against Rick Porcello. And their numbers this postseason. Porcello worked in relief of Verlander in game 1. Broken back, base hit into left. And Torrealba, his first start of this LCS, is now 2 for 2.
Another jam shot. Now there's 6 hits, 4 jam shots by the Rangers. Can't say it enough. That third time through the lineup, I think Pfister's going to have to adjust and throw more pitches away to the right-handed batters of the Rangers. That's becoming a volatile area for Doug.
Now it's Andy Chavez, who fouled out his first time up. Hit .301 during the regular season, 5 home runs, stole 10 bases. Good part-time player for Ron Washington.
This guy's a winner. He is a winning ball player. That might be, after all is said and done, one of the best things you can say about a player.
That one is blocked by Avila. Throw down and out for number 2. As Torrealba tried to take advantage of the pitch in the dirt, and Avila made the play.
Torrealba, of course, a catcher, understands how tough a play like that is. Ball in the dirt, he broke immediately, and Avila recovers in time to throw him out easily. Good play by Alex Avila.
Fly ball into center for Austin Jackson. Pfister has done some kind of job. Halfway through game 3. Rangers up 2-0. We're tied at 1. Let's say an interesting 24 hours for the Crew. Getting here, getting set up as Rayburn pops one into right. Cruz is there in foul ground for out number 1. Our Crew did such a good job of transporting everything that needed to get transported, and then calling, emailing ahead. There was a crew waiting here to help set up due to some travel difficulties, let's say. The core of our group that usually brings you these games didn't get here until 4 o'clock today. What a great bit of work they did getting this thing prepared to get on the air tonight. First pitch is a strike on a fastball to Andy Dirks, who hit 7 home runs during the regular season. 0 for 3 so far this postseason.
Yeah, because of the rain out on Sunday night, there was no travel day. So Rick Porcello telling us tonight before the game, the Tigers arrived about 5:30 this morning. Sleep in November.
Colby Lewis traveled ahead of his ball club and got here last evening as Dirks pops one into left center field. It'll be handled by Hamilton. 2 out. Back to the top of the order, and tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by Chevrolet. Proud to support youth baseball across the country. And up above, getting a great look at these 2 venues. Tonight's aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. With 2 out, nobody on. The batter is Austin Jackson. He takes a strike. Jackson singled but did no running back in the 3rd. He fouled out in the 1st. 1 for 2. This one's into right center field and will get down for a base hit.
Yeah, the prospects of Victor Martinez not being the on-deck hitter with Santiago coming up with 2 out and nobody on. In my view, Jackson has got to try to steal second base. If he throws you out, you tip your cap to him. Miguel Cabrera will be the on-deck hitter. I beg your pardon. Victor Martinez in the hold, but there is a chance if you have second and third, nobody out, you may get a walk with the knowledge that perhaps Victor Martinez can hit.
Word from the bench is that it is an oblique injury.
Oh, yeah.
To Victor Martinez, and whether that costs him the rest of this night and more games in this ALCS, that could be a major loss to Jim Leyland's Crew. Here's a strike on the outside part, and I'm with you. I mean, if you're going to run, now is the time. Here's the injury on the home run into right that tied the game in the 4th. Got a guy who's not a home run hitter at the plate. More of a singles type hitter. Austin Jackson, really the only guy that runs in this lineup. He's got to try and figure out a time and at least press the issue.
I think so.
Good dig out of the dirt by Michael Young. Late swing and a foul tip, strike 2. And Victor Martinez grabs his bat. Now we'll go down into that cage and see if he can swing it.
If it is an oblique injury, I have never seen a hitter hit a home run and end up with an oblique injury. A lot of swings and misses, but not a home run. And the ball hit that hard.
Here's a base hit into center field. Jackson will dig, go to third. On a base hit by Santiago. First and third, 2 out.
It's an interesting situation right here. You don't have first base open, but you do have an open base. And you know Victor Martinez is hurt. So what do? You know what? I'd put him on.
Nobody is in the on-deck circle. We know that Victor Martinez grabbed his bat, went down to the cage. There he is. And he's going to go stand in the on-deck circle.
Which could be a decoy. You don't know whether he's going to stand in the on-deck circle with the intent to hit. And Jim Leland talking to him, you just don't know. I take my chances, and I don't pitch to Cabrera. That's what they did in the 9th inning of game 2 with first base open. Now you have second base open. It shouldn't change things. I'd put him on. That's what they're talking about. Mike Maddox talking to Lewis probably about that very thing. But the thing about pitching around a hitter with a runner on at third is you throw a wild pitch, and a guy like Jackson could score on a short wild pitch. So you either pitch to him and try to get him out or walk him intentionally. Interesting situation.
Coming right after him with a 91-mile-per-hour fastball, strike 1. Here is an opportunity for Miguel Cabrera. Does not have an RBI in this series. Late swing and a miss, and Lewis has come after him with 2 fastballs.
2 fastballs, and remember, Cabrera has gone down striking out and tapping back to Lewis on sliders off the plate away. So if you're going after him, that's a place to do it.
Down the right field line. This ball is fair. Jackson scores. Santiago is held, and the Tigers lead it 2-1.
Two strikes, forget about it. We said it earlier, one of the best 2-strike hitters in the game. Just fair.
Now with first base open, Don Kelly on deck. They're going to see how Martinez does swing in the bat. I think typically it's a no-brainer to put him on.
What, you mean Martinez?
Yeah.
No, I don't agree with that. I think you make him swing the bat.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and not walk him intentionally.
But I'm saying if healthy,
Oh, absolutely.
Victor Martinez with Don Kelly.
That's exactly right. I just don't think he's healthy.
I don't either. And I think it's interesting that they're pitching to him and seeing if he is.
So if you're going to pitch to him and see if he is, they think he is. So if you think he is, why do you pitch to Cabrera?
Here's a 1-1 count on Victor Martinez, second and third, 2 out. Two and one. Martinez has not had to swing yet. Good job by Torrealba to knock that pitch down. With runners at second and third, 2 out and a run home. Detroit leading 2-1. That'll load him up. Victor Martinez on base for the third time tonight.
Excuse me, Joe. Here is Miguel Cabrera. First 2 times up, sliders away. This is a very smart hitter. Fastball away. And the Tigers take the lead.
Here is Don Kelly. Strike one. So we really still don't know about Victor Martinez because he never had to swing the bat.
Very good point. That's right.
And just the way he's moving around, he doesn't look comfortable.
No, he doesn't.
Strike 2. Lewis retired the first 2 of the inning. And back-to-back hits, an RBI double, a walk, bases loaded. Don Kelly 0 for 2 in this game. Check swing, and Beltre will back up and tag the bat to end the inning. Force out at third, and what an inning that was. First lead of the night for the Tigers, up 2-1 to nothing, and Ian Kinsler first up. He's 2 for 2. And this one hits Kinsler on a breaking ball to start the inning. The leadoff man is on.
Only time in this game so far that a ball has gotten away from Doug Fister, hitting Ian Kinsler on the eye of his back.
And Victor Martinez, I'm sure, will try his best to stay loose as this game continues. Here's a bunt. Cabrera makes the play down to second as Kinsler is Andrus laid it down. 1 out. And that'll bring in Josh Hamilton.
There's a situation again where you almost have to think about walking Hamilton. Michael Young has already grounded into one double play. If you don't walk Hamilton, I think what you have to try to do is to get him out on balls. He is a notorious first ball hitter. In fact, more than any other player in baseball, he swings at the first pitch.
And he hammers at that, fouls it back, strike one. Trying to keep Kinsler close at second. The guy on deck, Michael Young, is one of the game's best hitters. Still does not have an RBI out of the cleanup spot this postseason in 27 plate appearances. Watch out. Oh.
Josh Hamilton letting loose of the bat, and it seemed to have hit that gentleman in the first row. That's a tough way to get a souvenir bat, and we hope that gentleman is okay.
The 0-2. Breaking ball drops low, ball one. Runner at second, tying run, one out. And the 1-2. Got under it, fly ball into right. Dirks makes the catch. Kinsler stays put, 2 out. And a big threat is gone for the Texas Rangers. Tonight's E-Trade stopwatch. The Rangers bullpen has been tremendous so far through 2 games of this ALCS. 16 strikeouts, 3 walks, no earned runs, and 12 2/3. And that's what the Tigers offense has done with runners in scoring position. They've left 28 on. And they've had now 5 opportunities with the bases loaded and have not scored in 2.5 games.
Normally you wouldn't bunt, sacrifice bunt to tie when you're on the road. But I think it was smart for Washington to do that in this particular situation because of what your bullpen's been doing.
Left side, and for the 3rd time in this game, Young grounds out to short. Leadoff hit batsman. And it is the 3rd runner stranded by the Rangers, down by 1. Delivers, and so does Peralta. 3-1 Detroit, and a home run by Johnny Peralta.
That's a situation of an experienced hitter, 3rd time through the order, going up and looking in one spot and swinging through the spot, and connects.
And so Peralta, who hit 21 home runs during the regular season, goes deep. As Avila flies one into the corner, Chavez on the move. Has out number 1. Avila 0 for 3, but this shot off the bat of Peralta started the inning.
Sometimes when you call a pitch like that from a catcher, you almost want to reach out and interfere with the hitter. You know something bad. You could almost see Torrey Alba's expression back there. He knew something bad was going to happen when Peralta swung.
Rayburn takes a strike over the outside part. You mentioned it. Nobody gave up more home runs in the American League than Colby Lewis this year, and Peralta got it where he wanted it and rode it out of here to left. His first home run of this postseason, second RBI.
In the blink of an eye.
Here is a 1-1 to Ryan Rayburn. Good pitch down and away. Lewis is over 100 pitches on the night. And the Tigers have their biggest lead of this ALCS. Just off the corner, 2-2 as Uehara gets loose. Pickup from the Orioles at the deadline. The 2-2 to the shortstop Elvis Andrus, who guides it across, 2 out. The makers of Bayer Advanced Aspirin, the official pain reliever of MLB, are proud to donate $200,000 to the American Red Cross on behalf of the Speed Up Your Relief campaign. That moment happened here at Comerica before tonight's game. And it's been another good, tight game between the Tigers and the Rangers. Strike one on Andy Dirks. A Baltimore chop up the first baseline, and it rolls foul, strike 2. Dirks has struck out, fly to center, and Colby Lewis trying to get through 6, as he did in his only start of the divisional series in St. Pete against the Rays. Game 4 is tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 Pacific. Matt Harrison against Rick Porcello, with Justin Verlander and C.J. Wilson preparing for a Game 5 if necessary. The 0-2. Ball 1.
You know what Tiger fans are thinking tonight? If we win tonight, Tiger fans are saying, then that gets us to Verlander.
Doug Fister is up to 108 pitches on the night. Fister's at 76, 109 board for Colby Lewis. A 1-2. So Fister, Tim, has not only pitched well, but he's pitched efficiently on a night where their bullpen is taxed after a long Game 2. Lewis is doing the same for the Texas Rangers.
Right.
Trying to get through 6. Dirks in the air to left, and a base hit with 2 out here in the 6th. Uehara, who has not appeared in this LCS, it appears is going to come into the game right now. That is the case, as Lewis goes 5 2/3. He will leave down 3-1 with a runner at first, 2 out, as the Rangers go to their pen. We are in the bottom of the 6th inning. A run is home. Hamilton with an RBI single in the 1st. It's been all Detroit since. Runs in the 4th, 5th, and 6th. They have a man at first, 2 out. And Uehara, who has not appeared in this series and who since August 1st, including the playoffs, has allowed 6 home runs in 17 innings pitched. Deals a strike to Austin Jackson. That said, it was at the time heralded as a big pickup for John Daniels, along with Mike Adams, the setup reliever, to add to this Rangers bullpen, which is a serious weapon in this postseason. Dirks takes off, and he's safe with a stolen base.
Ian Kinsler thought he had him. A quick tag. The throw's a bit high, but wants the tag by Kinsler. No, he missed him. Good call by second base umpire Tom Hallion. And a great slide by Dirks. Dirks went to the outside, tagged the outside part of the bag. Good call by Tom Hallion.
One ball, one strike. Runner at second, 2 out. Jackson with singles his last 2 times up. Trying to add to a 2-run lead in the hole 1 and 2. Texas in the 7th will have Beltre, Napoli, and Nelson Cruz if anybody gets on your Vitória Alba. Colby Lewis is finished after 5 2/3. Up the middle, base hit. Here comes Dirks, and it's a 4-1 Detroit lead on a 2-out RBI hit by Austin Jackson.
Joe, in our opening, we talked about 3 guys with the Detroit Tigers. Austin Jackson, Miguel Cabrera, and Victor Martinez. All have delivered for the 4 runs the Tigers have scored tonight.
Jackson with 3 hits, an RBI, a run scored. Miguel Cabrera, the go-ahead RBI double. And Victor Martinez with a game-tying home run in the 4th. And Louis Hara gives up a stolen base, an RBI hit, and the Tigers lead by 3. Now Ramon Santiago, who is 1 for 3. Pretty good rip. Strike 1. Geico in-game box score for the Tigers. Jackson 3 out of 4. A home run and 2 walks for Victor Martinez. Peralta with a home run in this inning. Miguel Cabrera an RBI double. Pretty close. And again a spot for Austin Jackson to run. He starts and stops on a ball outside.
Uehara pitching for the Japanese version of the New York Yankees, the Yomiuri Giants, owned by the Yomiuri newspaper chain. He pitched for 9 years with Yomiuri in Japan before coming to the United States 3 years ago.
Been with the Orioles, traded to Texas, and he has given up an inherited runner. Andy Dirks made it 4-1, and Santiago waits for a 1-2 pitch.
Boy, those are quick feet. Uehara, for a right-handed pitcher, they've got to have quick feet to deceive the runner legally at first base. very, very quick and surprisingly quick by Uehara.
Santiago got under it into right center field. Hamilton drifts over to grab it, but it's a big inning, a 2-run inning on 3 hits. The loudest came off the bat of Johnny Peralta to start. That made it 3-1. It's now 4-1 after 6. Tigers on top. Back after this from your local Fox station. For the Tigers now with a 3-run lead. Brandon Inge takes over at third. Don Kelly moves from third to right, and a strike hits the outside corner from Doug Fister. Adrian Beltre, Mike Napoli, Nelson Cruz. Tigers finally making some noise with the bats. Fister has done his part. Gave up a run in the first inning on a flare hit. But 5 shutout frames since then. Ball 2. Beltre has been able to continue despite drilling that ball off his left knee. And is at bat in the 4th. And that one gets chopped down by his right foot. Missed him.
Can't say it enough, Joe, that Doug Fister has been coming inside all night against the right-handed batters. Nasty. A swing and a limp by Beltre.
And the count still 2-2. What a find by Dave Dombrowski, the general manager, getting Fister from Seattle. Beltre is hit again by his own foul ball.
I think it was his foot this time. Nope, right leg.
Looked like the right knee.
So he's hit the left shin, the left knee, and now the right thigh.
Here's a 2-2.
That almost hit his left foot. Well, about a yard from him. Tough night at the plate for Beltre.
He's 0 for 2. Got under it, got a good swing, flies it into center for Austin Jackson. Leadoff man is gone for the Rangers in the 7th. Tomorrow on TBS, 8 o'clock Eastern, it'll be Giovanni Gallardo against Chris Carpenter, who, when the baseball world last saw him, was finishing off a 3-hit shutout gem at Philadelphia. Then we're on earlier before that, 4 Eastern here on Fox. Matt Harris and Rick Porcello, Game 4. Strike 1 is over the inside half to Napoli.
You mentioned earlier that Jim Leland and Tony La Russa spoke yesterday, and Jim was saying that guy had a breakout day yesterday. That guy was Albert Pujols. What a day he had. 5 RBIs, a home run, and 3 doubles. So you had Prince Fielder doing such a great job in Game 1, having a big offensive day along with Ryan Braun. And then Albert Pujols and Jim Leland said, hey, that's what's supposed to happen in the postseason. The stars come to life.
Still 0-2 on Napoli. And those are 2 guys, Prince Fielder and Albert Pujols, who are free agents to be. Tied a record. Pujols, 4th one to do it in postseason history. 4 extra base hits in 1 game. The 0-2. 2 hops to Peralta. Napoli retired, and Fister keeps on rolling. Tonight's Get to a Better State recap brought to you by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. Nelson Cruz has been the hero in games 1 and 2 with a bat. And he ended the 4. And here he is with 2 out, nobody on, took a ball. Popped up on the infield twice tonight. This is a foul tip that catches a lot of Avila. 1-1.
Nelson Cruz tries to get out of the way of the ball. And it looked like it hit the barrel of the bat in a very awkward way, and that often happens. It'll come down on the thigh of the catcher. Or instep.
Two out, nobody on, 1 ball, 1 strike. From Pfister, strike 2. Two and 2. How about Doug Pfister? Strikeout number 3. And it's time to stretch in Detroit. Tigers up by 3. Tigers have popped a couple of home runs tonight. Lead 4-1 in a game they need. Down 2 games to nothing, and they bat in the bottom of the 7th. Cabrera fouls it back, strike 1. Rihara in the game. He relieved in the 6th. Allowed the inherited runner to score. So for Colby Lewis, 5 2/3, 4 runs, 8 hits, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks. 2 home runs as Benoit gets loose. Darren Oliver, the lefty, on the other side. He did not work in the 11-inning game yesterday. Good pitch down and away to Cabrera, and it's 0-2.
I guess from a drama standpoint, we will, I assume, we'll get to know whether Victor Martinez can swing the bat left-handed or not.
He's on deck after Cabrera, then Don Kelly. And even though Benoit's getting loose, Pfister is just over the 90 pitch mark. Pfister has been in total control.
Total.
That is hammered in the air to left. Watch that thing fly. 5-1. 3rd homer of the night for Detroit. He can make a big ballpark look small.
What can he ever? That ball was crushed. He crushed it.
Victor Martinez in the air to left center field. Hamilton back to get it. And a pretty good swing by Victor Martinez. That's a lot of body into that swing, and way out of here into left.
I said it was outside part. It looked like that ball backed up just off the middle of the plate to the inside part, but not for long. Boy, that ball was just hammered.
So another home run hit off Uehara. And Darren Oliver will come into the ball game with Don Kelly coming up. 5-1. Tigers having fun here tonight in Game 3. Tonight's game is sponsored by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Responsibility, what's your policy? And by Chase, don't get shortchanged. Get your cash back with Chase Freedom. Darren Oliver takes over, 1 out, nobody on, a run is home. Don Kelly, then Johnny Peralta. A good tight breaking ball from Darren Oliver, strike 1. Kelly 0 for 3 tonight, came in since September 1st, hitting .343 with 4 home runs. That includes the postseason, and his home run in Game 5 at Yankee Stadium with 1 out in the first. Off Ivan Nova, 0-2 the count.
Darren Oliver, one of the game's true gentlemen, just turned 41 years old 5 days ago, October 6th.
This is a big frame for the Detroit Tigers. It has been all year. They are 80-0 when leading after 7 innings, which they will be tonight. So the back end of their bullpen is that good. With 2 out, nobody on, the batter will be Johnny Peralta.
Yeah, you can match up Benoit and Valverde with anybody in the game. That's how good they've been this year.
It'll be an interesting decision on the part of Jim Leyland whether to take Pfister out with Benoit and Valverde having worked yesterday. Benoit an inning and 2/3, Valverde 2 innings.
Well, that said, Joe, I doubt that Benoit would be up and not come in the game. Maybe perhaps being a little economical with Pfister in hopes that he will start Game 7.
This ends the inning. Oliver gets the 2 men he faces as we go to the 8th. Cabrera with a long home run started this 7th, and the Tigers lead by 4. And Doug Pfister is back on the mound, dealing with Torey Alba, who has 2 hits.
That was a good call, Joe. I didn't think Pfister was coming back out as long as Benoit was warming and is loose. I guess Jim Leyland thinking perhaps in the middle of this inning to bring Benoit in there, but Pfister starting the 8th.
You get the feeling the leash won't be very long.
No.
Here is a 2-0. A lot of strikes from Doug Pfister.
There are a lot of great leaders as managers in the major leagues. Jim Leyland among the best. You know, when his team is down the most, that's when he's happiest. It's a very interesting definition of leadership in my view.
Yeah, he showed no panic on his face when we went into his office tonight.
Yeah, when he's up, like in a series 2-0, 2-1, that's when he's suspicious. When he's down, he shows his players he's not afraid. And that, again, the essence of leadership.
Full count on Torey Alba. Now the 2 big guns are getting ready for the Tigers in their pen. Pfister would like to make that not relevant until the 9th.
He's the same in the 8th as he was in the 1st, inside to right-handed batters. He wants a fastball.
So did Torey Alba as he shoots it into left. 1 hops the wall. And your Torey Alba going to stretch it, and he is safe as the ball comes out. What a break for the Texas Rangers as Torey Alba was going to be out by 10 feet. Good throw by Rayburn out in left.
Yeah, you can't take this chance when you're trailing by 4 in the 8th inning, or any inning for that matter. I think he knocks the ball out of the glove with his head. Pops right out of Santiago's glove. Well, maybe not the head, the right shoulder. But the Rangers fortunate that Torrealba's safe at second.
Matt Chavez takes a strike. Andy got the start tonight, even though David Murphy, the other option in left field, is 6 for 16 in his career against Pfister. It's ruled a double for Torrealba, who's 3 for 3. Chavez chops it. Pfister can take it to the bag himself with Cabrera out of the area, 1 out.
We've talked the whole game about how Pfister has worked inside hitters inside all night long. Breaking bats.
Tell you what, he's about to get some kind of ovation here tonight.
Got that right.
From California, he gave the Tigers exactly what they needed. Gave up a run after 3 batters. He's responsible for the man on third, 1 out here in the 8th. The Tigers leading 5-1, down 2 games to nothing, and Benoit is into the game. Here's Kinsler, who's 2 for 2, plus was hit by a pitch. So been on base all 3 times. Strike 1.
Ian Kinsler and Joaquin Benoit came up through the Texas Rangers organization as teammates. Benoit, Texas Ranger until 2009. Didn't pitch. He was injured, went to Tampa Bay, and has Detroit ever thrived with that right arm of Benoit? One of the best setup guys in the game.
Kinsler went around, strike 2.
That's that changeup, and Benoit will throw it to right-handed hitters with great effectiveness. A lot of right-handed pitchers wait and throw it only to left-handers, but he throws it to both right and lefties.
Ball 1. It is going to be a test for these 2 bullpens. For Detroit, the back end of it with Benoit and Valverde. And the big arms for the Rangers in their pen, playing 4 straight days. It was kicked off last night with an 11-inning affair in Arlington, Texas. 1-2 pitch. Broken back. Run will score. Santiago gets the out. 2 away. RBI ground out to make it a 5-2 game, and the line is complete on Pfister. The in-game box score brought to you by Geico. For Texas, Kinsler retired for the first time, but now has the RBI. Andrus has a hit. He's digging in with the bases empty. Hamilton with the other RBI. Torrealba 3 hits, including the double to start this 8th. Here's Elvis 1 for 2, a single, a ground out, a sacrifice. Ball 1.
At the very least, I think Torrealba has earned himself a start in tomorrow's game with that 3-hit night tonight.
Here is a 1-0. No problem with the velocity of Benoit. 94 in the count, 1-1.
Sometimes you don't need a breaking ball. If you're in for only 1 inning, you can get by as a setup man or even a short reliever for 1 inning with fastball changeup. There's enough of a difference between the 2 pitches to get batters out.
That one drops in for strike 2. Changeup from Benoit. Two and two. Full count. The guy on deck, Josh Hamilton, if he bats in this 8th inning, will be in a spot to make it a 1-run game. That's up to Andrews and the man on the mound, Joaquin Benoit. Got him looking. And for the starter, Doug Fister tonight, a job well done. 7 1/3, 2 runs, 7 hits. And he has given his Tigers life here in Game 3. Francona joined us for the first 2 games. He walked out of the booth. He said, I've never been so worn out leaving a ballpark as I am doing that game.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Avila 0 for 3 tonight, 1 for 12 in this series. Oliver got the final 2 outs, the 7th. Rayburn next up, then Inge. That's a foul ball as Toriyama let it go. A self-defense swing, strike 2.
Alex trying to get out of the way, dragging that bat head across home plate. Alex Avila has been hit once tonight, catching.
And his stamina will be tested with this 4 games in a row. Quite a run. And it will have a bearing on how these 2 teams play these games, who's brought in out of the pen, the lineups. Pretty good pitch called, ball 2.
And the mental anguish behind the plate, trying to lead your pitching staff or catch your pitching staff and lead into a comeback with the Tigers trailing 2-0 in the series, leading in this one by 3.
Full count. That's on the inside corner, 1 away in the 8th. And the 3rd strikeout for Avila tonight. He's 0 for 4. That'll be it for Darren Oliver as Ron Washington will make the move. Rayburn coming up. Bottom of the 8th, 5-2. Tigers leading game 3. As Tateyama takes over with Rayburn and Inge coming up. 1 out here in the 8th inning in a 5-2 game.
Tigers with an excellent record at home this year. They were 50-31 while playing here at Comerica Park.
Side armor is Tateyama, and ready for it was Rayburn as he hits it down the left field line. He will cruise into second base with a double.
When you're facing a guy like Tateyama, when he drops down like that, you know that no breaking ball can go down in the strike zone. It's got to stay on a level plane. And it looked like Rayburn will have to ask Ryan tomorrow if he was looking for this. That pitch almost rises. There's no drop in it.
Tateyama, who has the rare distinction of giving up grand slams to consecutive hitters over 2 different relief appearances. He deals with Inge. First at bat for Inge tonight. Ball 1.
From a grand slam standpoint, that's not quite as good as Fernando Tatis, and you did the game in Los Angeles.
It was against Chan-Ho Park, I believe.
In '98, I believe, wasn't it?
2 grand slams, same inning, same pitcher.
Unbelievable.
That ball's outside. The count's 2-0. Carl Crawford hit the first one off Tateyama. The Red Sox September 3rd, and then Scott Sizemore of Oakland September 10th. Sizemore was in that second base derby during spring training, and Will Rhymes won that job. Sizemore ended up with the A's. Here's a fly ball into left. Back is Chavez at the wall for out number 2. And back to the top of the order, Austin Jackson. Tomorrow afternoon at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, game 4 of this ALCS. Matt Harrison and Rick Porcello. Harrison, who won game 4 of the division series in St. Pete against the Rays. 4-3 win, went 5 innings, struck out 9. And there's Porcello, who lost game 4 of the divisional series. Here's a pitch high. That was to the Yankees here on October the 4th, 10-1. And did well in relief on Saturday night. 2 perfect innings with a strikeout against the Rangers. Here's a 1-0. Jackson's had a nice night. Ball 2. Three straight hits for Austin Jackson. 1 run scored, 1 RBI. That happened in the 6th. He bats in the 8th and takes ball 3. Strike 1. Right now the Tigers have it set up for Jose Valverde, who has been perfect all year in save opportunities. He is ready in the bullpen. Breaking ball, broken back, fly ball to Hamilton in center. The inning is over. We go to the 9th inning, game 3. Rangers coming up, their last chance. They trail it 5-2. 6th inning trying to save game number 3. 49 for 49 during the regular season. 51 for 51 including this postseason. And he has saved 53 straight dating back to last year. He's got a 3-run lead and he delivers strike 1 to Josh Hamilton leading off the 9th. .92 from his right hand outside, ball 1. Valverde did a nice job in game 2 yesterday. He went 2 innings, allowed 1 hit, but did hit a batter, walk a batter, and got out of a bases loaded, nobody out situation in the 9th. Hamilton went around, strike 2.
That's a splitter, and it can be devastating out of the strike zone. Most splitters are out of the strike zone to get that swinging strike.
Two and 2.
Jim Leyland and the Tigers hopeful that those tack-on runs will do the trick. Tigers with 1 in the 4th, 5th, 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th.
Into left center field. That ball will get down. Austin Jackson cuts it off. Hamilton is into second with a leadoff double. Hamilton on base for the 2nd time in this game, and the Rangers are 1 base runner away from bringing up the tying run.
I guess when you're around the game a long time, you're not surprised at great swings, but I have got to say that Josh Hamilton has one of the prettiest swings I've ever seen. His balance is extraordinary.
He can do everything. He can run, hit for average, hit for power, play the outfield.
That swing is like syrup.
Here's Michael Young, runner at second, nobody out. Young still without an RBI. Strike 1. Beltre able to stay in the game despite that foul ball off his left knee. He's on deck. Strike 2.
Michael Young gets on there. Then Beltre probably thinking about that high fastball. He got to open the inning and double off Valverde in last night's ball game down in Texas. That was the inning the Rangers loaded the bases with nobody out and failed to score.
Michael Young strikes out, 1 away.
That split finger fastball diving out of the strike zone to get Michael Young.
So Young now with 29 plate appearances, no RBIs this postseason out of the cleanup spot. The team that got by the Rays and now up 2-0. That lead being threatened here by the Tigers trying to get on the board in the series. Strike 1. to Adrian Beltre. Beltre has struck out, grounded out, flied out. Guy who hit 30 home runs on deck, batting behind a guy who has hit 32. In front of a guy who's hit 29. Ball one. Backing out of play, strike two. Valverde trying to navigate the heart of this lineup, misses ball two, 2-2.
Rangers, on the other hand, thinking just get the tying run to the plate. One swing could tie it.
Big home run threats to follow. Up and down this lineup, but Napoli and Cruz. The 2-2 to the right side. What a pick. Cabrera, 2 out. Diving stop for out number 2.
Gotta believe that Beltre would beat that play if he weren't limping. But a terrific play by Miguel Cabrera to get Beltre.
It was Cabrera who started that 3-2-3 double play behind Valverde in the 9th inning yesterday. And now here in the 9th, he makes that diving play to his left. Quick visit from Avila out to Valverde. Runner at third, 2 out. And the last chance for the Rangers for now is Mike Napoli. 0 for 3. Ball one, rides up and in. Strike one. Napoli 2 for 10 in this LCS. Trying to extend this game and get Nelson Cruz to the plate. In the air to right. Back on the track. This game is over. Kelly made the play in the corner, and the Detroit Tigers win it 5-2. down 2-1.
Uphill climb for the Tigers, but they kept pecking away, and then boom, 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 3 home runs, and win it 5-2.
Great pitching tonight from the Tigers, and here for the final out. This ball carried a long way. Don Kelly disappeared into the corner from our view. They called it a foul ball when it was caught as he crossed the line, but that ends the game. And the reaction from Valverde as he gets his 3rd save of this postseason. Jim Leyland has to be thrilled with the start tonight by Doug Fister. The best play of tonight's game is brought to you by the Audi A8. True greatness should never go unrecognized. And it was the game-tying home run by Victor Martinez in the 4th. Tigers added on, led it 5-1, win it 5-2. And they now trail in this series 2-1. So getting a chance to return home, the Tigers now are on the board. And we look ahead to tomorrow afternoon with Harrison and Porcello. And now the Tigers have guaranteed that Justin Verlander will pitch again in this series, Game 5, on Thursday afternoon. There's the pitching matchup tomorrow. Harrison was good in the division series. Porcello, a loser in the division series, good a couple of nights ago in Game 1. Let's go down to Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Joe. We're here with Doug Fister. Doug, Joaquin Benoit joking with you before the game about pitching 9 innings. I imagine after the first 3 hitters had singles, it didn't appear that that was going to happen. How did you turn it around?
Just stick with the same game plan. They hit a few ground balls that made it through the holes. And good hitters do. They came out firing and just kind of, Alex and I just stuck with the game plan and used our defense. Tremendous plays out there, and that's the name of the game.
Porcello tomorrow, Verlander now in Game 5. Can you come back?
Absolutely. We've got to take this thing one step at a time, and I'll be ready to pitch whenever Skip gives us the ball. So, it's just a matter of doing this day at a time.
Doug, thank you very much. Congratulations. Joe, back to you.
All right, Kenny, thank you. We will step aside for a quick moment. The Chevy postgame show is coming up after the break. Chris Rose will be along to talk about this win for the Tigers, 5-2 over Texas tonight in Detroit.
On Fox. Your final score, the Tigers a 5-2 winner over the Texas Rangers. Doug Fister was sensational. Papa Grande has now made it 52 for 52 and save opportunities. Not a lot of dancing, but a little bit of celebrating as the Tigers cut into the Rangers lead in this best-of-7 series. Hi, everybody. Alongside Eric Harrison, White Sox 2-time All-Star catcher, A.J. Pierzynski. I am Chris Rose, and Eric, in the pregame, we talked about the Tigers offense needing to do something. The heart of the order took care of that.
No, they decided to show up this series. I mean, they have absolutely struggled so far up to this point. Talking about Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez. These guys are the heart of the offense, and what did they do tonight? They put 5 runs up on the board, this offense. Miguel Cabrera and Victor Martinez. Here you see Victor Martinez hitting one out. You see, watch him after the swing. Looked like what AJ would describe, he pulled a fat muscle, but he finished the game, got around the bases. Miguel Cabrera, this is an 0-2 pitch. Drives it down into the corner for a double, drives in a run. He hits a home run later in the game. Hey, what kind of count do you think this is? 0-2. Again, not many guys do this 0-2. 0-2, you're up there protecting. But since these two have shown up, this makes this whole thing a different series. We talked about the Tiger pitching. It's been right there the last 2 games. The offense hasn't. It was here tonight, and it's going to be here the rest of the series.
So just how much pain was Victor Martinez in this evening? Let's head down to the field where our Ken Rosenthal actually caught up with Miguel Cabrera.
Thanks, Chris. Miguel Cabrera, RBI double tonight, home run. How did you turn it around?
You know, we need one, man. We really need to go out there and play hard and try and win this game. You know, we're looking for tomorrow's game. Hopefully we can play well tomorrow and play hard tomorrow, man.
Victor Martinez, he hits the home run. He obviously was in discomfort. What happened?
On what?
With Victor.
I don't know. I no idea. You know, the only I know he hit a home run, big home run to tie the game right there and keep us in the game. Hopefully he okay, man. Hopefully he no got nothing injury, and hopefully he come back tomorrow in the game.
Now yourself, you haven't had an RBI in the series before tonight. What was the difference?
No, be patient, man. Be patient. You know, it's gonna be a long series. Nobody says it's gonna be easy. And you gotta be patient one day. Run their bats, you know, fight their bat, every at bat, every pitch, and try to make something happen.
Miguel, thank you very much.
Right, man. Thank you.
Chris, back to you.
All right, Kenny, thank you very much. Really, maybe the story of this game was Doug Fister. What an acquisition.
Doug Fister, unbelievable. Dave Dombrowski, pat yourself on the back for this trade. Doug Fister, horrible in Seattle, no run support, comes to Detroit. 6 earned runs in 44 innings pitched in Comerica Park. What does that add up to, Chris Rose? A 1.23 ERA. Watch these bowling ball sinkers he's throwing. He killed Adrian Beltre. Mike Napoli, bye-bye back. That's unbelievable. Doug Fister, tip your hat as you walk off the field because you deserve it. You were unbelievable tonight. Dave Dombrowski, pat yourself on the back. Jim Leland told us it was him and the coaches that said, hey, we like this guy. This guy can pitch for us. And all he did was pitch in another must-win game for him and win.
How many times are you going to tell Dave Dombrowski to pat himself on the back?
At least twice. No, I was, and they wouldn't want me. They made the right acquisition in Victor Martinez.
So Dave Dombrowski, pat yourself on the back.
That's right, you made another good call. Good call, Dave.
All right, we'll see you back here for an afternoon tilt. Tomorrow, it's going to be Rick Porcello against Matt Harrison, the guy who closed out the ALDS for the Texas Rangers against the Tampa Bay Rays. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Once again, the pregame coming your way at 4 o'clock Eastern right here on Fox. Now, coming up next, except on the West Coast, it is your late local news. And then join us tomorrow here in the Motor City. Game 4 of the American League Championship Series. Coverage begins 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, only on Fox. Promotional.
And hangs on up against the wall, disappearing from our view, and the Tigers are on the board with a win and now have cut the Rangers series lead to 2-1.
The Rangers got a run at a third in the 9th, but Jose Valverde eventually closed them out. The Tigers' offense came alive as well, scored a total of 5 runs in the first 2 games in Texas, and that may have had as much to do with the Rangers as it did with them. Including the playoffs, Texas had allowed more than 3 runs just once in their last 9 games. Tonight, the Tigers hang 5 on them. Rookie Andy Dirks scored one of those runs after becoming the first Tigers rookie to steal a base in the postseason since Donnie Bush did it in the 1909 World Series. And back on the field at Comerica, he's with John for tonight's Bell Tire interview.
All right, Mick, thanks. When did you even know you were going to be playing here in Game 3?
Once I got to the field, you know, probably about 4 o'clock or so.
And does that affect your pregame routine, your preparation, not knowing beforehand?
Not really. You know, you come to the field every day expecting to play and then, you know, go about your business.
All right, you got your first postseason hit, your first postseason stolen base, your first postseason run. You feel like you're more invested in this series now?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's good to get out there and produce a run like that, and it was fun and exciting. Let's do it again tomorrow.
All right, you're right back in it. Is that the feeling in your clubhouse?
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's a big win for us right there. We got to come out ready to play tomorrow.
Andy, thanks.
Yep.
There's Andy Dirks. He and the Tigers will celebrate mightily a series, a game that gets them right back into this series. Mick, back to you in the Call Sam Studios.
All right, John, thank you very much. And Andy Dirks may play an increased role going forward with all those Tigers injuries, and they may have to count on a rookie.
Well, Jim trusts Andy Dirks. There's no debate about that. He really likes his skill set. This guy can play all 3 outfield positions. He can steal a base. He scores runs. He does a marvelous job, and Jim Leland knows that.
1 for 3 tonight with that run scored. Speaking of Jim Leland, he is making his way to the podium. We will take you there in just a few minutes. Still much more to come here as well on Tigers Live. Johnny Peralta put a little pop in the bat tonight, helping the Tigers to a big Game 3 win. More coming up from Comerica Park when we come back.
Down the line, gone! Towering fly ball off the bat of Miguel Cabrera. 5-1 Tigers in the 7th.
Miggy's big blast helping the Tigers to a 5-2 win in Game 3. And for the Tigers, good things have happened in threes. They've now won 8 of their last 9 Game 3s. And at the same time, they snapped the Rangers' 3-game Game 3 winning streak. Jim Leland's just happy to have the Tigers' first win of this series out of the way, and also happy to receive good news concerning Victor Martinez.
Well, he's okay. He felt a little strained, but he's all right. He had that at bat after Eddie Walker, and he hit a ball good to left center, so I think he's fine.
Okay, over here, Lynn. Yeah.
Are you at all surprised or gratified, Jim, that with all the people you've had out of the lineup here, and now this includes Martinez and his tweak here maybe, that you've played that team, a team that good, shoulder to shoulder in Texas, and then won a game here tonight?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled about the way we played, the way we've hung up. We're tough. I think you got to mention Adrian Beltre for them. These are 2 tough teams. I mean, he got smoked on the knee. Our guys are playing with pain and some injuries, and what he went through tonight and played the game, unbelievable. So both teams, I mean, I want to credit mine, first of all, but both teams are showing what it's all about and showing that it's playoff time and how tough they are, and you have a great appreciation for that as a manager.
Jim Pfister gave up a few hits there early on and then seemingly settled in. Did you see an adjustment on his part? It looked like the pitches got a little sharper, or maybe it was just nerves.
No, I think those hits he gave up were 3 mishit balls that found little holes. I thought he threw great. I thought he put on a clinic. I thought he put on a pitching clinic. In and out, moving the ball around, moving the ball both sides of the plate. I thought it was a pitching clinic.
Do you have a question?
Jim, can you talk about the 0-2 pitch that Cabrera hit that gave you the early lead? They tried to pitch around him, and he just got to that ball.
Well, I mean, that's why he's a great hitter. And if you've been watching, he came up big tonight. If you watch baseball right now, it's really interesting for me. Maybe not as much for you guys, but for me. If you look at the opening day in Milwaukee, Fielder, Braun, big time came up. If you look at the second game, Pujols, big time, he came up. Tonight, Cabrera, big time, he came up. That's what this is about. The big boys, that's why they're the big boys.
Sean?
Jim, can you talk about Austin Jackson, 3 hits tonight, getting your team going a little bit? Was there a different approach at the plate?
Well, I don't know that there was a different approach. I'd like to say that, I tweaked him a little bit, but I'd be lying. But he did hit early with Mac today, and I told Mac, have him hit early again tomorrow. Don't just think everything's okay now, and, have him hit early again tomorrow. He makes us go. He makes everybody in the dugout feel good. And I was asked a question before the game about dropping him in a lineup, which was a very legitimate question. But you know what? This is us. We are what we are, and we've been doing this, for the whole year. And, we're going to either win this thing or go down with what we got, and that's the way we're going to do it. And pretty simple, really. There's no tricks now. There's no real adjustments now. I know the lineups are a little different because they have to be because of some injuries, but AJ's going to lead off. That's just the way it is.
Tyler?
Yeah, I know you said Victor's fine, but how concerned were you at the time, and what was it that he strained?
Very concerned, to be honest with you. Intercostal muscle. We'll see. But, obviously I think he'll be okay. He got through it tonight, and hopefully he'll be able to get through it. And if he can't, you know what? We'll play somebody else. That's who we are. That's what we are, and that's what you do this time of year. You find a way to win somehow. And we did that tonight because, we hit a couple balls over the fence, obviously, and Pfister was, like I said, I thought he put on a clinic.
Howard?
Jim, it looked like that Torrey Alba's ball was probably the first really hard hit ball of the night. Was there any feeling, or how gratifying was it for you that Pfister didn't get nickeled and dimed tonight, and that your guys did kind of finally hit the ball over the fence?
Well, it was great. I mean, you know, he was just what the doctor ordered. You got, you know, this is a tough team to hold down, and knock on wood, actually, we've done a pretty good job so far. I mean, the grand slam last night made it look a little bad, but for the most part, we've done a pretty good job. They've done a great job of pitching. I think we've done a great job of pitching too. Both bullpens have really done a good job, with the exception of one grand slam. So, I mean, this is two real good teams. They're the defending champs, and we're trying to dethrone them. So, you know, both teams are going to keep playing hard. You know, this isn't going to bother them tonight. They're classy. They're professional. Their manager's he's good. In fact, I was a little worried. I was standing close to him at home plate tonight when Aretha Franklin was singing the national anthem. He was moving around a little bit. I got a little nervous because I think she pumped him up a little bit. So I got a little nervous about that.
Thanks for coming in, Jim.
Okay.
That's good. We're waiting for Doug Pfister and Austin Jackson.
The Skip in a good mood, and deservedly so, as we take you to the Arby's player of the game. In this case, it's players of the game. Doug Pfister, outstanding tonight, going 7 1/3 innings, and the bats come through as well. Victor Martinez, Johnny Peralta, Miguel Cabrera, all hitting it out of the park tonight, as the Tigers now just trail this series 2-1. And joining us now, the other half of the Tigers play-by-play tandem, Mario Mpemba checks in from Comerica Park. And Mario, this night did not start well for the Tigers or Miguel Cabrera for that matter, but it sure did end up well for both parties.
Yeah, and that's a good sign for the Tigers going forward, Mick. But early in this game, the Rangers scored a run in the first inning, and all of a sudden it was 1-0, a sellout crowd of 41,000 plus on hand, and it was kind of sleepy here. They were not making a whole lot of noise until the third when Cabrera bounced back to the mound, and for the first time since he's been here, I actually heard Tigers fans booing Miguel Cabrera. It was a smattering of boos, but boos nonetheless. That changed, however, when we got to the fifth inning. Cabrera, they decided to pitch to him with first base open. He doubles in a run to give the Tigers their first lead, and then later, of course, homers in the ball game. But it was a strange sight here to hear them actually boo Miguel Cabrera. But as we mentioned, it didn't last very long. Cabrera came up big tonight. Victor Martinez came up big. The middle of the lineup had to do what they did tonight, Mick, and it was really good to see going forward in this series.
Hey, partner, I got to ask you, what were you thinking about Victor Martinez? Obviously, you watched the home run, and then he did something to his back or something like that. Have you heard anything about Victor Martinez's injury, if it is an injury?
Only that he seems to be okay, but I have a feeling, Rod, this might affect him a little bit. When he hit the home run, the first thing that I noticed was he was barely making it around the bases, and obviously he showed some pain as he swung the bat and actually hit the home run. But what concerns me about Victor is that he's been banged up all season long. This is something new, the intercostal muscle on the side, and so we'll just have to wait and see how much this affects him going forward as well. But he was able to play through it. As Jim Leland said, he had some pretty good bats after the injury. Hopefully this night of rest, he'll come back out tomorrow feeling good, but certainly they will need him, Rod, as you know, and hopefully it's nothing to be too concerned about.
Mario, you mentioned the boos tonight for Miguel Cabrera. Obviously, folks getting impatient down there. How rejuvenated do you get a sense of this victory was for the fan base? Because maybe not internally from the Tigers, but externally there seemed to be some doubt surrounding this team after losing those first two in Texas.
I agree, and I think some people started freaking out a little bit, and you know as well as I do, Mick, that baseball can change very quickly. Now the momentum is on the side of the Tigers. All they had to do was win one game, but fans sometimes don't look at it that way. This is a best-of-7 series, not a best-of-5 where you might freak out a little bit if you drop the first two games. But getting to the ballpark earlier here today, I just had a sense that fans were a little bit worried. They felt that maybe the Tigers weren't going to do it this year, and even in the first couple of innings, there was very little crowd noise. The Rangers got a run early in this game, and it wasn't until the Tiger bats got going that the crowd got going. And so hopefully now, as we move forward in this series, the Tigers fans will start to believe that this ball club is definitely back in this series, and they'll hopefully get another win here tomorrow.
All right, Mario, good stuff. More with Mario coming up from Comerica Park in just a few minutes when he's joined by FoxSports.com's John Paul Morosi. In the meantime, Rod and I will go to commercial break. Coming up next, we'll take you back into the clubhouse as the Tigers discuss their mindset heading into tomorrow night's Game 4, suddenly with a chance to even this series up at 2 games apiece. Jim Leland talked about Austin Jackson being the catalyst for that Tigers offense tonight. How can he go from looking so bad in games 1 and 2 to looking so good tonight in Game 3?
Well, he took some extra batting practice, and being a former player, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt when you're struggling the way that he was struggling, if you get that first hit, your first time up, you just relax a little bit more. It was with 2 strikes. He cut down on the swing. He had another base hit also with 2 strikes, and we know he always brings his glove with him. So him chipping in offensively made him feel good, and it also gave the team that that energy that they needed tonight.
And Jim Leland said, despite calls to the contrary, he's going to leave him at the top of his order. And right now, Austin's at the podium addressing the media.
Over here.
Oh.
Austin, Jim was talking about how you were hitting early today with McClendon. If you could talk about what you guys were working on, if anything specific, and what you were able to take of it into the game.
We were working on my leg kick and just trying to get that timing down. That's the main thing I think that is trying to get me going. Really, is trying to get the timing down. You just got to keep battling with it, keep going out there, and it's tough at this point in the season to work on things, but you just got to do your best, and that was the main thing. We just kind of working on my timing.
Over here, down front.
I also know that you talk a lot to Ramon Santiago, and he was telling that he was talking to you also. I was wondering, what did you guys talk about? What was your mindset today coming into today's game?
Just to try to keep that intensity. I've locked it with Ramon the whole year, and he's kind of been there to pump me up when I've been down a little bit, and he's just done a good job all year, been that veteran leader, not only for myself but for everybody. He's a good teammate, and like I said, he's always there to kind of get me through some things when it's tough. So.
Couple more, right here.
First 2 games playing near your hometown, how was it? Did you have extra demands? Was it in some ways a relief to come back to your current home?
It was fun. A lot of friends and family that didn't get to watch me play when we went there earlier in the season. They got a chance to come out, and it was just fun to get in front of them and get to play in front of them in that atmosphere. That's probably one of the best times they can come out to watch me play, and it's not that far from my house. So.
Here again.
Yeah, 2 things. When things are not going well at the plate, do you carry that to the plate? Is that on your mind when you go there? And also, did you take consolation that you're at least getting on base on balls through this?
You try not to let it weigh on you. Being a leadoff hitter, you try to spark the team a little bit. When it's not going as well as you want it to, you kind of take it to heart a little bit. But I'm just trying to do whatever I can do, to get on base, get in scoring position, to try to let the guys behind me drive me in.
Time now for our call, Sam. Game summary. Doug Fister kept those high-powered bats off balance all night long. The Rangers got just 1 run off them in the first, and that would do it. It ends up giving 2 runs in all, just 7 hits while striking out 3. A great effort from tonight's starter to get the Tigers back into this series. All right, coming up next on Tigers Live, we'll continue to break down the Tigers' Game 3 win. Miguel Cabrera heard boos and then cheers. We'll hear from him when we head back to the clubhouse next. Not a good sign for a struggling Tigers offense, but outside of Verlander, the Tigers wouldn't have wanted anyone else on the mound tonight other than Doug Fister, and he proved why. Miguel Cabrera also proved why he's the best hitter in the American League tonight. 2 RBI and a home run, and a chat with John Keating and company back in the clubhouse.
I can control injuries, so what you need to do is go out there and do your job. You're not gonna feed the other shoes, You can cover what you can do in the field, I can control what happened with Mario, I can control what happened with Damon. So I go out there and try to do my job, try and put something in the game to everything to win games.
Did you feel like you were pressing at all?
Like what?
Pressing? Did you feel like
pressure?
You were, yeah.
No, in this part of the season, I think the pressure is about nervous. You get nervous before the game because you want to win the game so bad. But I think no, it's just a good pressure. It's a thing like it's emotional. You want to go out there and do your job. You want to do it so good. So it's not all, because I don't want to put down myself. When I take that, I not do my job. I want to get fresh, go out there and don't try to think too much and try and do what I can do to win.
That said, the double and the home run must have felt.
Yeah, hold on.
Must have felt pretty good. The double and the home run.
Oh yeah, when you bring support to your team and try some run, you feel good about that.
You said you were waiting for your pitch tonight. Before tonight's game, were you happy with the at bats you were having?
Yeah, but you always not gonna have hits. You know, you're trying over there. You battle there. I got a lot of at bats getting 3-2, 2-2. So that means you know, a battle there. I not giving away anything over there. So, you know, like I said before, you gotta give a lot of credit to this guy, to their pitcher, because they pitched me good in the series.
Will you remember more the home run or the fine defensive play in the last inning?
The last hour, I remember more, you know, when Kelly catch over there and we finally win the first one here at home. Hopefully we go out there tomorrow and try and win the second one.
How much can you feel momentum swing in a series like this?
You know, I feel good, man. I feel good. I feel aggressive. I feel patient sometimes, but you know, they pitch me good, man. They pitch me good. They're not making a lot of mistakes right now. That's why they're here, man. That's why, because they're a great team, they're great pitcher. You gotta be patient, man. Be patient. Try to wait the main mistake, you know.
Is there anything in particular you were looking for with Lewis, from him? Anything in particular you were looking for him tonight?
You know, he gave me the first at bat, give me out like quarters away. I was looking away, but I tried to drive out to the way of the field.
Miguel, thanks.
It was another sold-out crowd at Comerica Park, a crowd that desperately tried to urge their team to a win in Game 3, and they finally got something to cheer about following Victor Martinez's fourth-inning home run. Mario Mpemba witnessed it in person. He's been at the ballpark all night. As we welcome him back, he's joined by John Paul Morosi from FoxSports.com. And Mario, as we talked about off the top of the show, the big guns in the lineup came through tonight for the Tigers when they desperately needed it the most.
They did indeed, Mick, and it's something, John, that we've talked about a lot. The fact that the Tigers' middle of the lineup, Tiger fans had bemoaned the fact that they just weren't doing anything in this series. It's a different dynamic, as we saw tonight, what this Tigers offense can do when Victor Martinez and Miguel Cabrera are clicking on all cylinders.
Absolutely, Mario. I think this crowd, as loud and festive as it was looking for a reason to believe. I think in the fourth inning, Victor Martinez's home run did exactly that. But to me, the key at-bat of the whole game was Miguel Cabrera in the fifth inning with 2 men on. At that point, the Tigers were 2 for 21 with men in scoring position in this series. An 0-2 pitch, and I think Colby Lewis left up maybe just a little bit. Cabrera was able to sing that one right there down the line, bring in the run. The Tigers never trailed after that. I think Cabrera himself needed that confidence boost. I think you saw that in the 7th inning with that home run to left field.
All right, now let's also talk about the top of the lineup for the Tigers. Austin Jackson. It was about 24 hours ago that we heard somebody say that maybe Austin Jackson should be bumped down in the lineup. Who could? Oh, that was you. That's right.
Yes.
Don Kelly should be leading off in this game.
Supposed expert, Mario. I think I was standing here saying 24 hours ago, yes, Kelly should have led off, but probably a good thing I'm not the manager of the team, because Austin Jackson, 3 big base hits at the top of that lineup, drove in a run, scored a run. When Jim Leland talks about the catalyst Austin Jackson can be, that's exactly the type of game that he wanted. The Tigers do not win this game without Austin Jackson in the lineup, and yes, batting leadoff.
All right, now Rick Porcello goes tomorrow. The Tigers are down 2-1. Does Jim Leland even consider the fact of bringing Justin Verlander on short rest tomorrow?
I would say no, Mario. I think the fact that you know now the Tigers have won a game, Verlander will get another start in this series in Game 5. I think you keep him right there. And hey, the best case scenario for the Tigers would be win Game 4, and then you have Verlander with a chance to give you the lead going back to Texas. So I say keep Verlander right there in Game 5.
JP, we appreciate it. I would imagine Austin Jackson will lead off tomorrow. You agree?
I think it's probably a good source on that one too.
Nick, that's the bet here. Austin Jackson leads out tomorrow. Let's go back to you in the studio.
Mario, doesn't Morosi have a Fox charter to catch or something?
He's got a Fox charter. We got to let him go. Let's go.
I know. He's such big time. I know. I will see you guys in a little while. So much more to come from Comerica Park following the Tigers' Game 3. 5-2 win over the Rangers. John Keating continues to work the Tigers clubhouse. We'll bring you his interview with Papa Grande when this playoff edition of Tigers Live continues. Tonight and did it relatively uneventfully, but Roddy threw 2 innings yesterday in Game 2, and he was pitching today for the first time following a 2-inning outing since 2005 was the last time he did that. Surprised at all that his number came up in the 9th?
No, not surprised at all, because the innings that he pitched in yesterday's game in Texas, they weren't that stressful. He went right after the Texas hitters, and when he does that, Jim not afraid to use him the next day, which he was able to do today. But you have to love Papa Grande. He's one of the best closers in all of baseball. As a matter of fact, he was the best closer in all of baseball today, and he has a lot of fun in that clubhouse. He is a very good leader down in that bullpen, too. Keeps guys loose down there.
The back of that Tigers bullpen working as it's intended tonight, with Benoit being the setup man and Jose closing it out. As we send you back to the Tigers clubhouse, Papa Grande standing by with John Keating one-on-one.
All right, Mick, thanks. Is it any different when you do the sprinkler coming out of the bullpen and you're coming into a championship series game with your team down 0-2?
You know, for me, everything's the same.
It's not like a Tuesday against the Royals, though. This is a bright spotlight.
You know, it's the same. I mean, for me, because I have my best players. I have the best settlement too, Benoit. I mean, all the time with the game like this, I know it's over already because I have it's nice players. And I'm surprised, you know what I mean, what the Tigers doing, because everybody do it favorite Chicago and Cleveland, and now who's playing the postseason? The Tigers.
It might be one of the best memories of the season. You skedaddling over to first base after Miguel Cabrera smothered that ball down the line.
You know, in the first moment, I think this is almost a double, you know what I mean? But when I see Miguel do all the play we're doing, I say, you know what I mean? That guy, you know, scoring no more, you know what I mean? I have to carry all the stuff.
All right, you're not a kid anymore. You had 23 pitches yesterday. You had another handful today.
I don't know how many pitches I threw today, but I mean, I'll be ready for tomorrow too.
You're okay? You're okay tomorrow?
Oh yeah, 100%.
How do you feel?
Good. Excited right now. My team win. You know what I mean? It's nothing I can do. I have to be ready every single day.
All right, let's make an appointment. You and I in this spot tomorrow, all right? After a win?
Oh yeah. You know what I mean? I'll be here tomorrow too.
There's Papa Grande. Mick, back to you.
John, Papa, thank you. And we are not done yet on Tigers Live. Still more post-game reaction on the way. Doug Fister got invited to the podium. We'll hear what he had to say from there when we continue from the Call Sam studio. It took 3 tries, but the Tigers are on the board in the ALCS following a 5-2 win in Game 3. Doug Fister wins his second game of these playoffs after going 7 1/3. And after giving up that run in the first inning, he was in control throughout the night. He always seems in control, doesn't he? The cool customer at the podium as we send it back to Comerica.
So, well, how do you instantly regroup there after the first 3 hitters get a hit and they score a run?
You know, I mean, they came out swinging the bats. You know, that was their approach, and it was obviously working for them. But at the same time, Alex and I really just focused on doing the same thing, you know, from the get-go. We were going to attack the zone with our fastball and keep it down and use the defense, and, you know, we stuck with it. Yeah, they got a couple of ground balls through the hole that scored a run there in the first, and, you know, good hitters come out doing that. But we stuck with our guns and you know, used the defense and you know, let them work.
Over here, Doug. Howard.
Doug, it didn't look like anybody hit the ball hard on you until later in the game when Torrealba hit the double. Was there any difficulty not getting frustrated? Were you thinking that nobody's hitting this ball hard at me and I'm down 1-0?
You know, those thoughts really never crossed my mind. It was a matter of you know, really focusing on the pitch at hand and you know, taking it one step at a time. I say it over and over again, but that's how you know, that's my kind of technique of how I get through things. You know, so using the defense was a key thing for me, and just focusing on you know what, hey, I'm not trying to blow it by these guys. I'm not trying to get strikeouts. I'm going for contact, and you know, let's go deep in the game.
A couple more for Doug. Lynn.
Doug, this has nothing to do with pitching mechanics, but it's very commonplace in this era for pitchers as they leave the field to an ovation to really not express any kind of recognition. Yet you chose tonight to acknowledge the crowd, and you did it a couple of times. Can you give a little thought behind your philosophy there?
You know, we're at home here in front of fans, and you know, everybody's standing on their feet waving those white flags. It gives me goosebumps to remember walking off on that, and you know, it's kind of nice as a fan to be acknowledged and to know that you're there. We definitely appreciate the fan base that we have here in Detroit, and you know, us as players aren't afraid to go out there and say thank you. You know, we're here because of them. We're here playing because they want to come out and watch. And so, you know, a little tip of the cap isn't anything, you know, directed to anybody but the fans, just saying thank you.
Anything else for Doug? Okay.
All right, Doug Fister, as we talked about, a cool customer, real appreciative of the support he got tonight, and well-deserved as well. And he was able to work himself out of a couple of jams in this game that might have been ugly if not for some brilliant pitching in those situations.
You have to love Doug Fister. He's cool, calm, and collected when on the mound, and he got himself into a little bit of trouble in the first inning because the Texas Rangers sort of ambushed him early. Everybody was swinging early, and they were swinging often. The first 3 guys got hits, as a matter of fact, and a couple of those hits came on 0-2 hits. One to Andrews, and then you had Hamilton follow that up with a base hit, also 0-2 count. So that's not Doug Fister. He has better command than that, but he stuck with his game plan. He quickly got Michael Young, a very dangerous hitter, to hit into a double play, 6-4-3 variety. Outstanding turn by Ramon Santiago, and then he struck Beltre out with a nasty 2-seam fastball. Then you got the third inning, another chink single by Kinsler, and they can't run on Fister. He doesn't give up stolen bases, so they put the hit and run on with Andrews running, and nifty footwork here by Peralta, touching the bag with the right foot and flipping to Cabrera to complete the double play. And then he goes on to strike out Hamilton with a really nice cut fastball. So he didn't panic in this game, and that's exactly what you need to do if you're Doug Fister. You have to pitch that kind of baseball game, and he did.
And he was pounding those Rangers big hitters, big right-handed hitters inside all night long.
He figured out how to get them out. That good 2-seam fastball was running in on guys' hands. They were breaking bats. He has tremendous control. He's got the cutter, he's got the sinker, he's got that over-the-top breaking ball, and of course he stands 6 feet 8 inches because he's always throwing straight downhill. He's tough to hit.
All right, so Doug Fister sets the stage for Rick Porcello's start in Game 4. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. In the meantime, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Still more to come from Comerica Park. We'll head back there where John Keating and Mario Mpemba join forces to share their thoughts on the Tigers making a home stand tonight.